Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good. Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Indianapolis. It's a name that gets the attention of every racing driver and fan alike. Since 1909, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway has been a prime example of speed, pitting man and machine against one another in epic battles across the yard of bricks. Adding to those chapters of history this evening is the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series in their third event of their late 2020 season. Through Daytona and Atlanta, we've seen these drivers go toe-to-toe, lap after lap, with two exciting finishes to boot, and they look to add to an exciting Season 3 with big cars, big spoilers, and small engines. Welcome, race fans, to PitStop TV. As usual, we're live to We're live to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter tonight. Trey Patton and Noah Carmichael with me in the booth. Trey Shuttlesworth with social media coverage, and Emerson Arden helping behind the scenes. It's a big team. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, and this is PitStop TV's live coverage of Round 3 of the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series, live from virtual Speedway, Indiana, for 250 miles at the historic Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I just realized it is 200 miles, not 250, but regardless, we've got quite a dandy on our hands this evening. Indy is one of those tracks that has definitely divided much of the NASCAR community since being added back in the 90s. I want to say 94, right? And it has certainly been one of those tracks that you either like or you don't if you're in the NASCAR community, especially the fan base in particular. And these big, heavy stock cars, as I mentioned, big wings, small engines in comparison to their low downforce and high horsepower counterparts, will be going 80 laps at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's one of those that it's either good or bad. Usually you've had terrible races with some tire failures in past years. You've had amazing races, I think, too, around 2015, 2016 that have been very exciting with very exciting overtime finishes here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So it's certainly one of those racetracks that it's either good or bad, but I think tonight is going to be a pretty good one this evening. Hayes Booth currently leading in practice here, Trey Patton, and Will Jones is not far behind in third.
Yeah, as we noticed earlier, I don't know if Will Jones has gone back on track, but we're going to backtrack a little bit. But it looked like he had, I think we said it was a hardware failure, so hopefully he can get that sorted out to get back into the race, because we see he's not that far behind. And what we saw last week at Atlanta, he definitely has speed and has pace, and definitely one to be one to look out for in this series. But so if he doesn't get that fixed, then it's, I guess, a sigh of relief for everybody else.
Yeah, it's a really big sigh of relief because it opens the door a little bit for anybody else who wants to try and get this win. Obviously, Indianapolis, one of the harder tracks to really try and get a win on, just because of how challenging this track is. It's the flat corners. It isn't the old 90 circuit where it was full apron. You have the grass, so you can't go all the way down to the bottom like you used to. On top of that, this track was scanned in about 2009, which was a year after the tire fiasco that NASCAR had here. So it's still the old diamond ground cut surface that was very abrasive, that caused headaches for a lot of these drivers. So tire wear is going to be a huge factor in the back of these minds for all these superior class auto racing drivers as they prepare to do 80 laps around the famed Brickyard.
And with 5 minutes left here in practice, these guys are coming to grips with this rather abrasive surface here in Indiana. And again, it's just like it's one of those tracks you either do or don't like. It's one of those tracks you're either good or bad at, it seems like. You're either really, really good at getting around this place in one of these NASCAR stock cars, or you just pound the wall down, it seems like. Or you might even see some of these guys get real sideways out of the corners, since even with this high downforce package, gentlemen, it seems these cars tend to want to get a little bit sideways sometimes and get out of hand. But right now, as we mentioned, Hayes Booth, top of the speed charts. He's now back at the pit lane. Looks like he might be done running laps for this practice session. Chris Mathis, last week's winner, right behind him. Will Jones in second. Bobby Hamilton Jr. in fourth. Scott Warren currently fifth in practice. Now let's see how some of these drivers line up in the standings after Atlanta last week. Chris Mathis comes in with that points lead. David Bradford just 5 points behind after their very exciting finish at Atlanta Motor Speedway 1 week ago. Cole Ainsley, after winning Daytona, well, he's right there with those guys. Scott Warren in 4th, Tommy D'Angelo in 5th place, Thomas McMullen right there with him, tied in 5th place, 19 points out of the points lead. Then you get guys like Bobby Hamilton Jr., Jeff Napier, Cody Harger, Alan DeFries that have had one good race, but one not so good race, especially in the case of Bobby Hamilton Jr., Jeff Napier. Those two come to mind as guys who were really good in one, not so good in the other, where Bobby was just not really there at the end of Daytona, and Jeff just wasn't really there at the end of Atlanta.
Yeah, and then looking further back here, we see Cody Harger in 9th, 32 points back, and then Alan DeFries in 10th. So, I mean, we've seen Alan. He was kind of there at the beginning of the races, but then if I remember correctly, I think he just got caught up in some incidents, so it just wasn't really for him. Hoping to see some things turn around for some of these drivers. Hopefully we can see a repeat of last week. I hope, last week was a really, really good, clean race. We only had one caution except for the stage breaks. So I think tonight we might see a new winner.
Yeah, with Haynes Booth currently leading the timing scoring right now, he's currently on track to be the new winner. He's about a 10th up on Chris Mathis, who is your series points that are coming into tonight, so he's going to try and catch up with him. Obviously, Will Jones is the big question, even though he's one of the part-time racers. He's one of the faster guys on the circuit, but with the apparent hardware issues we believe he is having, it's kind of a big what if he's able to participate tonight, or if he's going to be out with practice and not even be able to start the race. So there's a lot of what ifs coming into tonight with very different things. And then there's people like Bobby Hamilton Jr. currently 4th fastest with a 49.6. So he's a contender to maybe win this race and get his first season. Would be really big for him.
Well, you mentioned those. My bad. You mentioned those hardware failures here for Will Jones, and he is back on the racetrack. He looks like okay. Shouldn't have any problem, I would imagine. But then again, we didn't think he'd have a problem in practice. And, well, what do you know? He ends up having some big issues. And, yeah, it was textbook technical failure here on iRacing, where like a wheel unplugs or whatever, and just a little ways back there down the front stretch, the wheel just goes full left lock and it drops down in a neutral, and it redlined the motor, blew it up and everything. Thankfully it's practice, no harm, no foul. He gets unlimited cars and everything like that in practice, so no worries there for the 56 car. It looks like things have sorted out for him. But yeah, Will Jones, I think the big storyline that we have coming into this evening, a part-time driver that really lit things up at Atlanta Motor Speedway 1 week ago, and could have problems if that does not get sorted out. Hopefully it does, because yeah, it was I knew exactly what it was when we saw it on the front stretch, but it was still just like, oh, yeah, that's definitely a problem. You kind of need the wheel to be working if you want to race with these guys. So Will Jones looks like he's back on the racetrack, should not have any problems from here on out. Some other guys that are sneaking their way into the top 10 right now, though, in practice is, well, Cody Harger. He's into the top 10 in points as well, and he currently sits 7th on the speed charts. Cole Ainsley right there with him, who did win at Daytona. And it's worth mentioning, like we saw last week at Atlanta Motor Speedway, David Bradford, as penalty for winning at Atlanta, should have to start from the rear this evening, which is really going to be difficult to overcome, even though we'll have a couple of stage breaks. Driving through the field at a place like Indianapolis Motor Speedway is never, never easy.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned last week for Colt trying to drive up through the field and, just eating up your tires. As Noah mentioned earlier, the whole tire fiasco here, and this is on the old track surface. So managing your tires here is also going to be something to take into consideration. So he doesn't want to drive too hard and use the stuff up early. So, I mean, as you mentioned, we have a stage break, 2 stage breaks, but he doesn't want to drive too hard to where he doesn't use up his tires. And obviously I believe we have tire allocations in here. I think we have six sets, or so they have 5 sets of tires, or 6 counting the one they're on now. So you got to use those wisely.
Yeah, and then on top of all of that, it's just very, very hard to pass here. It is even in Indy cars, it's hard to pass here, just because of the nature of this track. Since they got rid of the apron, it's become a 1-lane racetrack on the bottom. If you're not beside the car entering the corner, you're more likely not going to make the pass unless you want to risk those tires being destroyed, which is situations that we've seen happen. I mean, it's possible to get it through there, but you're going to end up losing a lot of time to the car that's ahead of you, the two people fighting. So in the end, it's mostly just a one-lane racetrack. If you don't have the pass done by turns in the end of 1 and 3, it's just not going to happen. So starting from the back is going to be a very big challenge to overcome here at the Brickyard.
Qualifying getting underway as the number 66 of Cody Harger rolls onto the access road here in turns 1 and 2. And something, of course, unique about Indianapolis Motor Speedway is it does have that access road that drivers have to use on pit exit. They do not have to use the one through turns 3 and 4 to get to the pit lane. They just have to duck in out of turn number 4 to get down to the pit lane safely. Chris Mathis, I believe, was one of the first drivers onto the racetrack. He's already, it looks like, exiting turn 4, and he's going to come around to start his first timed lap of qualifying. And the number 18 has been fast so far in both races that we've been able to watch him at Daytona. He was, as drivers said, one of, if not the best pusher to have behind you. And last week at Atlanta Motor Speedway, again, he was great at pushing, but he was also great at leading the race. He was great at fighting and holding off that position, that race lead, second place, whatever it may have been for. And I don't think he dropped down to the top 5 all night long, Trey Patton. This 18 is the real deal, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he can do at Indianapolis tonight, next week at Las Vegas, and the rest of the 14 race season.
Yeah, seeing how he did at the 1.5 at the intermediate tracks is definitely sets a standard. But comparing Las Vegas to Atlanta, I mean they're two completely different tracks. I mean that's like trying to compare Kentucky to Charlotte. Every 1.5 miles different, but it does set a thing in our mind to have an idea. As you see, Chris Mathis is on top with the first time lap of a 49.5. Will Hewitt also setting a lap. Justin Napier setting up as well. Looks like Cody Harger's coming to his timed lap. If not, didn't take it. Bobby Hamilton Jr. also on a lap.
So Chris Mathis currently the fastest with a .535. He is currently up by about close to a second of the next driver, Cody Harger, with a 50.347, and everybody else is sitting 50. So Chris Mathis right now is on a flyer of a qualifying session. As I hear from Bobby Hamilton Jr. with a 49.718. That's good enough for the outside of the front row, but he's still 2/10 of a second off that 18 Miller Ford. As you see Bobby Hamilton now through turn number 2 past this, what I believe now is the Riley Hospital for Children suite, as he now makes the drive down the long front straightaway. He now gets bumped down to third as Will Jones now moves up to the second spot. He's right on that number 18 too. He's less than a 10th behind him with a .564. So this qualifying is starting to heat up here for the pole here in Indianapolis.
And Will Jones is going to be one and done. Meanwhile, Bobby Hamilton of the Waffle House Ford will exit turn number 4 and gets the outside retaining wall and just past that spot where the safer barrier ends here on this older scan of Indianapolis. And yeah, that was definitely, I think, a quintessential slide that you'll see these guys go through this evening and have to battle, because it is absolutely very easy to get this car right on the edge of that slip angle and get right just on the edge of grip and possibly stick that right rear out there a little too much. You get a little too out of control or catch that outside wall with the right rear and bring the rest of the car into it pretty easily. You're looking at the 076 of Scott Warren as he is currently 4th in qualifying. We've looked at each of the top 3 now as Chris Mathis holds on to that pole position. Will Jones currently 2nd place and Bobby Hamilton in 3rd. Scott Warren 4th. Hayes Booth currently in 5th spot. We have a few more cars on the racetrack though, including Mickey Spear. He's the last of those drivers right now. He is in 18th spot of 18 that are qualified. Looks like if the other 2 do start, which are Terry McFarlane and David Bradford, as long as they do start, regardless of whether or not they qualify, we should have a 20-car field here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Trey, since it looks like we're going to have a lull here in qualifying for just a moment, I'm definitely excited to see how these guys do at a place like Indy. It's always a difficult track, I think, to get a handle on, of course, as I've already mentioned, and sometimes it can be kind of hit or miss as far as quality of racing, but the way these guys have raced the last 2 weeks has me incredibly optimistic, because Atlanta is a difficult track to get right, and the fact that they did it so well, along with their great race at Daytona, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too, just from talking after the race at Daytona and in Atlanta after the race and stuff. They said a lot of these guys are putting in a lot of practice throughout the week, and they're helping each other out. And, you know, as we saw last week in Atlanta, they put on an absolute clinic, I almost said an absolute unit, but it was an awesome race. I expect nothing less than that tonight. Definitely a hard track, so we're going to see cars slipping and sliding, maybe some cars touching the grass from getting a little too low. It's going to be a battle to pass, really, is how it is. It's track position is key, especially when it comes here.
Yeah, this track is going to be really, really tough to tame. It's like Darlington, except not as banked, and all the corners are the same. But on top of that, you talk about Atlanta being a track that's hard to tame or hard to get around and then race well at, and they're pulling off an incredible. I saw the finish. It was an incredible finish. It was one of those classic Atlanta photo finishes that you saw in the early 2000s that they were able to pull off. So if they're able to do that there, then I'm expecting nothing less here. We've seen a lot of great NASCAR leagues that we've been covering for the last few weeks, putting on incredible finishes. Like Bluegrass iRacing Series is the first one that comes to mind that we do on Wednesdays. Those guys are great when they do their stuff, and these guys are kind of the same way. So, you know, I'm really, really hoping that these guys can put on a thriller here at the Brickyard, or Indianapolis, that we haven't really seen in Indianapolis in a while. The only times we've really seen incredible races in Indianapolis is when the entire field's wrecking, but these guys have been able to go side by side, it seems, every lap that they race.
And with that, you'll see these drivers roll off of their starting grid positions in just a moment. The iRacing pace car will lead them through turns 1 and 2, but Chris Mathis is your pole sitter this evening. Will Jones qualifies second place despite the hardware failure, so they're picking up where they left off at Atlanta. Bobby Hamilton Jr. as well qualifies third place. Scott Warren in fourth. Fifth is going to give us Hayes Booth, Mark Truxell in sixth spot. Rolling back to row number 4, it's Cody Harger and Justin Napier. And in row number 5, to round out your top 10, it's Cole Ainsley and Alan DeFries.
Starting 11th, we have Vincent Short on his outside. We have Jeff Napier in 12th. 13th, we have Nick Hurd. 14th, we have Will Hewitt. 15th, we have Fred Strawich and Tommy D'Angelo in 16th. Mickey Spear in 17th. Thomas McMullen 18th. And rounding out the field in 19th, we have David Bradford. In 20th, rounding out the field, we have Terry McFarland.
Terry McFarland, though, not on the racetrack, so he will start from the pits, or he is opted to call tonight. But regardless, as of right now, a 19-car field on hand as we prepare to go half distance here in Indianapolis for what should be an incredible night of racing here in Speedway, Indiana.
And again, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a very historic. I mean, everybody knows at this point Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the history that goes into it. I don't need to tell anybody about it, but it's one of those racetracks that everybody wants to win at. It's special to everybody in some way, shape, or form. And even if you're not into all of the IndyCar history here, it's an authentic racing experience. This is the mecca, I think, of American auto racing. If not here, I think Daytona, but they rival one another. They are just they just ooze racing, if you will. But out of turn number 4, for the final time before lighting these guys up, letting them go green, the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series is coming down to the restart zone. We enter it, and we are green flag racing at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Chris Mathis takes the 3rd green flag of the season.
Did you see Will Jones on the outside there? Further back, we have a caution.
Yeah, they were wrecking going into turn number 1. A lot of drivers being very impatient. We already saw 3-wide racing, which in 3-wide in IndyCar is hard to do. And that has a lot of more downforce in these Cup cars. And going 3-wide in a Cup car is just asking for problems. You see the replay here. They're going to get the restart. Everyone's pushing each other, kind of like a super speedway stuff, just because of how long the straightaways are. You're going to see in the mid-pack, one of these guys goes 3-wide, and from then on, chaos breaks loose as everyone's trying to avoid.
And it's all around Jeff Napier, who got help, it looks like. Is that the 15 car? Oh, the 015 of Vincent Short. He has not had a good start to his season either. He has had 2 bad races in Daytona and Atlanta. We'll look back and see what causes all of this mess on lap number 1. Again, you want to watch the number 40 Toyota Camry. He was in the 50-something or other Chevy. And, actually, I think Jeff, wow, that's tough to say. It looks like Vincent was holding his line comparative to the rest of the field, but Jeff went low as the car behind him was going high, and I think it's just one of those things, you stack up on these starts sometimes, and there's just not enough room to go 3 wide at Indianapolis very well.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head right there. We're going to get another look at it there, but I think he may have just, ran out of room. You see, we're 3 wide. Look, I'm not sure if he came down a little bit or, as we said, ran out of room there. And you see the 015 went down onto the apron into the grass, came back up, and he ends up parking it into the inside wall. Thankfully, he didn't blow up or take up anybody else out. So car's relatively clean.
Yeah, I thought at the start that the believe that is the 45 can't see on my end just because of the black and gold car numbers, but I always thought he made it 3 wide, but no, the 40 actually went into the middle and gave the inside and outside those spots. So I don't know what happened on the start to cause that, but that was just kind of an accordion effect waiting to happen. Sadly, that brings out our first caution. So we don't even make it a lap around the racetrack, which sometimes happens here in Indianapolis, and now they're going to have to try and do it all over again.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've seen this before where we have these early cautions, especially the first, second lap, what have you, and it's just unfortunate, but hey, at least at this point, if we start on the bottom, we can only go up, right? So if we start with a lap 1 incident, we can only improve the length of green flag runs, right? So sure, there's a lap 1 caution, but I think these guys will sort things out and get the ship righted. I don't know if we have any takers under this yellow flag. I guess Jeff Napier, of course, would want to come in and get service to his number 40, and he is. He's the only driver that has pitted thus far, and I expect that to hold true through the rest of this yellow flag. Well, I say that, and then actually Justin Napier, his son, joins him in the pit lane here, Trey. And Justin's, well, he actually almost won at Daytona, then had connection issues last week at Atlanta. Looks like that might be plaguing him here again at Indy.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I noticed that Justin is on the track. He didn't make it for the start, but he scored 3 laps down right now, so I guess rather a good thing a yellow came out for him. So, I mean, it doesn't put him so far down, so I mean, I think if he would have, he'd probably be maybe 5 or 6 laps down if the yellow wouldn't have came out. But that's good for him. And, if he can keep that up and, if they wreck again and stage breaks and he keeps that up, he'll be back on the lead lap at the end of this thing.
Yeah, he was just kind of struggling with connection issues. He fell out before the start, and he just finally got back in. So very, very lucky with that caution to come out when it did. It looks like we're going to get the 1 to go here from the pace car. So they will go double file. The 18 going to go on the bottom, 56 back on his how, kind of resuming the positions that they once had. And now it's just getting the nerves down. You get so nervous on the starts here, especially with turn 1 in Indianapolis, just because of how unforgiving it is and how it's, in a lot of drivers' eyes, one of the hardest corners in racing, even though it's such a basic corner, just because of the blind entry, because of the grandstands on the inside. It makes it so hard to judge the corner. So it's very tough to do, and now they have to try and get those nerves down and do it all over again, and hopefully make it through turn 1 this time when we get some green flag racing, which should be amazing to see here, so we can get some great action here from the Speedway.
Yeah, if we can try to move towards green flag pit stops, that would be, I think, ideal here at Indy. Those are always fun, getting out to a long green flag run. We'll see if we get that far this evening, though, as we had that lap 1 incident here at Indianapolis. Let's quickly take a look at the weather these guys are combating this evening. Air temp only about 67 degrees. Pretty comfortable, I'd say, here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 82 degrees on the track. That's actually a pretty cool track temp, but I think that will come up a bit once these guys are running full speed around here for an amount of laps. That should bring that track temp up. Very calm winds, currently rising up to maybe 2 miles an hour. and then dropping back down to 1.5. But very, very calm, a very calm fall day in Speedway, Indiana. Of course, race info, we've got that one caution flag for 3 coming to 4 laps as we come to a lap 5 restart. Chris Mathis still leading the way, and he will take us to our first restart of the afternoon, side by side with Will Jones. They come down to the restart zone. The green flag flies, and they are right back at it at Indianapolis.
Yeah, Chris Mathis, we've said this week in and week out, just this guy knows how to get the pedal going and to get a restart. Bobby Hamilton Jr. also got a good restart there. As you see, side by side with Will Jones as we exit turn 1 going into turn 2.
Yeah, a lot more spread out now as they make their way through turns 1 and 2. Bobby Hamilton still looking on that 56 car as they exit off of 2 down the back straightaway. The big run, as now the 56 is going to have the toe of the 18. That's going to be able to push him ahead, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough to get the pass done, as they will still go side by side through the north end of the speedway. He will clear him, but he's not going to have enough speed to get down to the bottom, so they're going to go side by side through 3 and 4 now as they get ready to complete lap number 5.
See the rest of the field snaking through 3 and 4 rather, getting single file for the most part. We do have a side-by-side battle here with Hayes Booth and Scott Warren. They looks like get it figured out, but really everything very calm through that first lap of full green flag racing. Hayes Booth does look to the inside of Scott Warren, doesn't make a move, but he does go purple that lap, the fastest lap on that first lap of green flag racing. Those times should drop this next lap, though, lap number 6 of 80 this evening, and Hayes Booth is trying to put a pass here on Scott Warren now. He drops back in behind the 76 car. Everybody mostly single file. One car got the fence out of turn 2.
You mentioned going side by side there with Hayes Booth. He actually got a little bit sideways going into the corner. I don't know if he maybe cut or touched a little bit of the strip down there onto the grass or anything. As you see, he's getting right on it, which is helping him arc the corner to get a better exit. Yeah,
very characteristic now. We're seeing in Indianapolis. They're going single file now. So now the big question is how are they going to be able to pass? The 56 right on the back bumper of that 18 as they make their way through turn number 2. As they get ready to make their way down the back straightaway, this is where that 56 is going to need to get that run. If he wants to need to get it here, have enough momentum on the straightaway to get to the inside, is the 18 going to protect the bottom, which is going to make it very hard for the 56 to get on the inside, as now they're going to stay single file as they're starting to create a little bit of a breakaway from that Waffle House for Bobby Hamilton Jr. as they make their way towards turn number 4.
Through turns 3 and 4, and Chris Mathis still leads now, coming to lap number 8 of 80. Well, not quite 1/10 of the way through this thing. Once they complete it, they will be. You see the RCI, number 18 Ford Mustang, all the way down to the pit lane wall. That's because he wants to break that draft down that front stretch. You'll see him dip down to the grass down the back stretch as well. Just trying to break that draft, break that toe, give Will Jones the full brunt of the air resistance to slow him down so he can't reel in that number 18. But Will Jones obviously can follow him down there. Doesn't look like he is. He's opting to stay up on the wall with everybody else and draft down the back straight away. But it could scrub the tires of the 18 car, so he's got to be careful not to do it too aggressively. But right now, I think it's certainly helping him keep that separation between himself and second place.
Yeah, the main thing that he's doing, my apologies. The main thing he's doing with that move is breaking the toe, which is exactly what he wants to do. Even though it might scrub the tires a little bit, if the 56 isn't following him, it's going to allow him to spread that gap even more because he's not going to be able to tow him in, but it is going to help the 25 to be able to take over the second spot as they make their way back to turn number 1. He's going to close the gap and perhaps maybe see a battle for second place here in the coming laps.
Yeah, Bobby Hamilton Jr. is definitely using that extra toe to his advantage. As you see, they're actually starting to catch back up to Chris Mathis. And as Andrew said before, you don't really see Will Jones following him down. As you see now, they're all staying up near the wall. But if he's too aggressive on swapping his line like that, he's going to scrub up the tires, as Andrew mentioned. And Noah, you made a great point as well. Just you guys are nailing all the points, so I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to say.
So down the front stretch they go to complete lap number 9, and here maybe comes a move from Cole Ainsley. Look at him, he's up into the top 6, and he wants to go for 5th place on Hayes Booth into 1, and he's going to make that move, get in front of that number 2 Ford Mustang, and Hayes Booth might cross him over out of turn number 1 rather. I'm used to exiting 2, not 1. Anyways, he looks to the inside in 2, doesn't do anything with it, and he will fall in behind Cole Ainsley. Meanwhile, Will Jones still doing nothing with that leader, Chris Mathis. These guys just riding in a train for the most part and staying calm, I think, here in the early goings.
Yeah, staying calm is definitely what you want to do. You know, it's a long race, 2.5 miles to get around this place, 80 laps, and we actually have a caution right now. Not quite sure where it is. We'll look into that.
We have a car wrecked off of turn number 2. That is the 14 of Vincent Short. Not exactly sure what happened, but there is a car right behind him. It looks like 17 was also involved in that incident. We have a 2-car, between a 17 and the 14 exiting turn number 2, as that will cause our second caution of the afternoon.
That's the 015 of Vincent Short up ahead of the 17 here, the Rogue Energy, number 17 of Nick Hurd. And this should be where the incident happens. Yeah, wow. Vincent Short just goes up to the fence and keeps pushing, and wow, that's really unfortunate. Up and over goes Vincent Short. I didn't think I would see that today. I think that's relatively common for Indy cars here, but not so much NASCAR stock cars. And what a hit for these two drivers. And it looks like Vincent Short just cranked the wheel as he got tighter and tighter.
Yeah, unfortunate for Nick Hurd. You know, he had nowhere to go. You know, as we're going to look at that again, you see he just gets tight off the wall, comes down straight in front of Nick Hurd, and they both hit the inside wall, almost both go over. You know, just it's really weird to see a stock car flip just at Indianapolis. You know, as you said, more of an IndyCar type of thing here as we're looking at an onboard here of Vince Short.
Yeah, it looks very reminiscent of the Scott Dixon wreck from 2017. As you look on the onboard here to turn number 1, you're going to see, by the way, if you want to know why I said 14, it's because I'm looking at his position in the UI by accident. You see he's going to get really high exiting turn number 1. He was way off the apex of the corner because you want to be right below that white line. He's going to go all the way up there, much like James Davison did, and he's going to pancake the wall. It's going to shoot him right back down into the path of that 17 car. And if this is an Indy car, he would have ramped right over him. But instead, they're going to anchor into each other, and they're going to just drive each other all the way down the inside wall, right exactly about where Dixon hit. And then it's just a rough ride for the 015, who is now up, and over, and now he's along for the ride as he ricochets back up towards turn number 2. But a very violent wreck for that 045, or that 015, I might add.
It's going to be a new number every time, I guess. But yeah, I'm going to show this again here with Vincent Short, and quite simply, he just, if you've ever driven in rain, snow, whatever, with with any car really, but front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, whatever, and you start to push, lose grip in the front, you don't crank the wheel more. And he cranks the wheel more, and, well, exactly what you think might happen would happen. He just plows the wall, and I do think it's a bit early to be tight. I think he must have had some kind of other issue. I don't know if it was another driver involved or something, because the right front was obviously damaged before that, and I think that's why he was so out of whack right there. I don't think he was expecting to be so tight all of a sudden, and he just kind of panicked and put more wheel into it. But let that be a lesson. Don't just crank the wheel more. You've got to try. I don't know exactly how he's going to get out of that situation, because it looked like that car was destined for the wall to begin with, but yeah, he hit that wall a ton, and unfortunately Nick Hurd, just innocent bystander, nowhere to go, no part of that at all, and well, now he's maybe out of this race. He's still in the pit lane getting repairs. That's gutting for Nick Hurd. That really is. Meanwhile, Bobby Hamilton stays out with Thomas McMullen and Jeff Napier. Jeff Napier has pitted once this evening after his incident there on lap number 1. But everybody else comes in assumingly for 4 tires and fuel. Very standard pit stop lengths. I see 14.5, 14.7, 15.1. So yeah, looks like everybody getting 4 tires and fuel. Tommy D'Angelo, though, he finally comes in. So he stayed out the first lap, possibly getting a lucky dog maybe. But regardless, he does come in the second lap, and he will get service to his number 3. And they will line up, and we'll do it all again.
Yeah, looks like everyone is pit except for, looks like Jeff Napier hasn't pit, and yeah, just the top 2 stayed out. So they're on 13 lap old tires, and everyone else pit.
And then there was a secondary wreck that happened right behind those two. We're so focused on the two cars that went airborne. The 27 was actually involved in that wreck as well, and he's sitting up here. I know you're not going to be able to probably get the replay up, but it was an incident between the 17 and the 23 of Mickey Spear. It was kind of the same incident that happened with the cars in front. The 23 went up high, almost at the wall, but avoided it. The 27 was right there, collected him, and he went nose first in the exact same spot where they collected. So now he is sitting on pit road as well. So that's now about 3 cars out of the race here early, unless they do have fast repairs to get him back out here. But other than that, the race might be over before it really even begins.
Yeah, let's see. That's 5 cars that I'm counting down for the count, including Terry McFarlane, who never made the start of the race. And yeah, it looks like he's probably done for the evening. Justin Napier. Well, no, he's still in it. My bad. I counted him down for the count. He is just 10 laps down. I'm not sure what's happened to him. I assume more connection issues for the driver of the 54, but I would assume Vincent Short, Fred Straywick, Nick Hurd, they're probably all 3 done. Coming to the restart, it's lap 13 coming to lap 14, and we'll get right back into things as Bobby Hamilton Jr. leads us to this restart. The L2 of Thomas McMullen right there with him. Jeff Napier, kind of a lazy start there for the 40 car.
And Bobby Hamilton Jr. took advantage of us starting from the lead there. As you see, he surges ahead. But you got to remember, everyone behind him is on fresh tires. So you see Chris Mathis gaining on Thomas McMullen. So he's going to try and pass and use a little bit there. As you see, he goes down to the inside of Thomas McMullen. He has fresher tires, so he's going to have more grip. So expect to see him making a run for the lead here soon.
Yeah, he just waited exactly at the right time. And now he's at 2. It was right on the inside, and it was over from there. He just had to power off the corner. And now O2 is going to lose 2 spots now. So he turned number 3. He's going to drop all the way back to 4th. Really trying to struggle to handle that race car with those older tires just getting eaten up by the fresher tires. And now we got to fight for the lead as here comes the 25 and the 18 side by side down the main straightaway as they head towards the Yard of Bricks through what they call Fan Canyon as they scream now past the start finish line. And they're going to get Freight Train as now the 2 and the 18 are going to tandem right by the 25 and move them back to 3rd as the O2 still holding up the 66 right behind them as he is still just struggling to hold on to those older tires.
Chris Mathis, the race leader out of turn number 2, brings the number 2 car of Hayes Booth with him. There's a fight further back. You can see it on your screen. It's let's see, that's Cody Harger down to the inside of Will Jones. They're fighting for 6th position, but this lead fight starting to heat up between the 2 car of Hayes Booth and the 18 of Chris Mathis, who really, I think, should have won at Atlanta, but a caution flag does fly, and we've got more wrecking back here, and it looks like Tommy D'Angelo is going to be involved in the Coastal Carolina number 3. Looks like possibly Jeff Napier as well, as he is stopped on the racetrack. Oh, that's a lot of damage for Napier. I wonder if it has to do with him on those older tires. No, I think he might have been, well, let's see.
You see there, it looks like D'Angelo goes to the inside.
Oh,
he tried
no.
to come up, and he wasn't clear. Oh, got slingshotted and went all the way. Just, that's an interesting wreck. I mean, just iRacing physics right there. But yeah, he definitely came up the track a little bit, and Napier was obviously still there. We're going to get another look at that.
Yeah, that is a gnarly hit for the 40. You see down the back straightaway they go. The 3 is going to peek to the inside, and he had the pass going. And I guess the 40 just didn't think he was clear. And just, oh my goodness, that is a very violent ride. As now spinning kind of like a top spin down the banking through the cool down lane, and then just kind of weird, like a little kick flip back onto his wheels. But I think the motor is destroyed by that, so it's not like he's going to be able to go much any further than that. But man, that's 2 back-to-back violent wrecks, as these guys are just unrelentless here in the early going to this race.
And let the social media records show that we're now up to 2 flips here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway this evening. Jeff Napier, that is an insane crash for him in the number 40 car, and it's not how you want to start your evening. And he was one of those drivers I mentioned had a pretty good run at Daytona, along with his son, who was almost involved with this one, Justin Napier. But he just didn't have a great evening at Atlanta last week, and unfortunately, Indianapolis going to go mostly that same way. It looks like they were just trying to occupy the same space. I think Jeff wanted to turn down into the corner, maybe behind Tommy, and Tommy was waiting a little bit longer to take a wider entry, and they just met in the middle. And unfortunately, when you have that right rear left front contact like that, you're just going to have a big crash every single time. That's exactly what we see for Jeff Napier and Tommy D'Angelo. Very unfortunate for those two, but the race does carry on. We're almost a quarter of the way through this thing as Chris Mathis leads.
Yeah, I was starting to think that, just seeing wrecks like this, just kind of looks like something you'd see like be put on from like Nitro Circus or the X Games. Might have to start giving these guys some style points on these crashes, because these are insane. But something you don't want to see. You don't like to see a lot of wrecks, especially hard hits like that. It slows the race down a little bit, but it gives us something to talk about. So hopefully these guys are figuring the track out now, more or less. Trying to give these guys some room, be patient. Being patient is really what comes to what it really comes down to, as we mentioned earlier. Try to make a pass is going to be hard, and what we've seen now, 3 wide doesn't work, and then obviously just trying to occupy the same space, and it just turns into this.
Yeah, an interesting strategy, though, called by the number 25. He opts to stay out again under this caution. 2 did pit for fresh tires. So the 25 is going to stay out on the tires, which, in all honesty, if he keeps going like this, is going to work for him, because now he has an extra set of tires compared to the rest of the field. So he'll be in a really good spot coming into this race if everybody else uses it, because he'll have that one extra set and be able to go out and possibly win this race if we have a late race caution.
And it looks like the caution lights should shut off, and they do. So we are looking at 1 to green coming to lap 19 of 80. Here, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, race number 3 of 14 for the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series. And what a wild ride it's already been, especially for Vincent Jones and Jeff Napier. Just brutal incidents. You can lump Nick Hurd into that grouping, as well as Tommy D'Angelo. Just big hits here to start things off. And we only started with 20 cars here this evening. We're already down to, it looks like, if Justin stays in it, but it doesn't look like he is, it looks like we're down to 13 cars, and it's only lap 18 of 80. This is certainly not how he wanted to start off Indianapolis.
No, starting off Indianapolis, having as many cars as we did, in the short amount of time with the incidents we've had, having the amount of cars is definitely not ideal to what we want. But, I guess usually the less cars on track, I guess, the less incidents is usually how they say, knock on wood. But hopefully we'll see some less incidents, because I want to see these green flag pit stops come into play. And that's just going to really be something to look for. And, speaking of incidents, something to look for that is, especially coming on pit road, not even under green, just even under caution.
And as they head back off of turn number 4 now, hopefully you're going to be able to give the pace car some time to cool off for a little bit and take a break, as now the field gets shorter and shorter because of these big wrecks that we've been seeing. So now the field going to be handed back over to the 18 of Chris Mathis, with Haynes Booth on the inside. Is all in the hands of the 18 now as we await. And there it is, going to get the restart. And just like we've seen on the last 2 restarts, the 18 going to get off with a huge jump, about a 2-car length lead as they head off into 1. Is out of 25 of Hamilton. Might try and make moves to the inside of the 2, but he's going to get cut off as they go pretty much single file. Besides the 76, he's going to try and fight the 25 for that 3rd place spot.
Side by side for 3rd are Hamilton and Warren out of turn number 2. Now Warren, a big run on the outside, and he's going to clear Hamilton Jr. for that position. But now a move for the race lead. Here comes Hayes Booth trying to look to the inside of Chris Mathis. Ducks back up high. Mathis follows him, or I guess leads him up there, and they go nose to tail through 3 and now turn 4. Hayes Booth looks like maybe getting a little bit impatient, wants that shot at this race lead out of turn number 4 to come to lap 20 of 80.
Yeah, if they keep battling like that, and I'm Scott Warren, that's what I want to see in front of me. We're on board with Hayes Booth right now. You're looking at the back bumper of Chris Mathis. This is the current battle for the lead. We're going to go down to turn 1. You're going to see Chris Mathis go and paint that rumble strip down in turn 1, probably going to do the exact same thing down in turn 2. We're going to see that he gets right on that white line. He's going to exit right up to the wall. And he's going to go down to the apron, or more so to the inside grass. Actually, no, I'm wrong. Didn't try to break the draft that time, as you see the top 3 following in tow.
Yeah, I think he realized it too. He's not going to have the run, or at least he thought he wasn't. And then they're going to go side by side to the north end. You're still holding on to it. The 2 car now has the run as the energy turn number 4. The question is going to have the run off compared to the 18. The 2 car actually looks a little bit loose, just a tad bit. That might be just from where have my camera's position, as now they have a drag race on the front straightaway. The 18 has now cleared him, as now the 76 possibly going to take over that second spot, as he is right on the back bumper. The 18 is the energy turn number 1.
Moves Scott Warren into second across the line to back into third out of 2, and here comes Will Jones putting his name in the bag, and he's going to go down to the inside of Warren into 3. Warren had a shot possibly to get to the back end of Chris Mathis down the front stretch, and since then has fallen victim to the 56 car, may fall into 4th place through turns 3 and 4, this time by Hayes Booth. Now single file once again with race leader Chris Mathis. There's the pass for 3rd. Will Jones up into that spot, and Scott Warren falls in behind him right on the back end of that 56 number 56 Chevrolet Camaro, and almost gave him a shot into 4. They're side by side behind, and there's last week's winner David Bradford on the inside of Cody Harger. He moves into 6th position.
Yeah, definitely lots of battles going on. A lot of aggressive driving out here. Really good to see that the aggression level is high. As of right now, everything's looking pretty clean. It's good. You know, we're looking back here where David Bradford, you know, started last, and here he is up in 6th. We're not even at the end of stage 1 yet. You know, back near Cody Harger, we have Alan DeFries, Truxell, and Hewitt round out the top 10. You know, just lots of good battles side by side further back.
Yeah, still pretty single file allowed. Bobby Hamilton Jr. has fallen all the way to the rear end of this tail of this little pack that's going on right here, playing a long run strategy with tires, having not pitted since the start of the race. He's still on those 22 lap old tires. So you can see at the very top of your screen just how far back he is compared to the rest of the field. So if it keeps going like this, it might work, but it's a very interesting strategy call to say the least, as the 18 still holding on to the race lead. The 2 car right there in second, and the 56 Will Jones quickly knocking on the door for both of them. And he might take over the race lead in the coming laps with just how fast you've seen him in practice and how well he was doing in qualifying up until he decided to do the 1 lap and done. But it's still working in his favor because he's still holding on at 3rd spot and knocking on the door with the 2 leaders.
And we're looking at each onboard from both the leader, Chris Mathis, and the number 2 of Hayes Booth by virtue of Emerson Arden. Thanks for his work this evening. And this is a really cool, thing that we can watch is we can watch both onboards right now from the back end of Mathis, the gearbox or bumper cover, if you will, and the onboard on the inside of the number 2. And this is cool to get both angles of this battle as they go nose to tail now into turn number 1 once again, and trying to see how these guys want to try and make a move on one another or defend that move, because Hayes Booth has tried a couple of times now to get down to the bottom side of Chris Mathis to take that lead away, but it's just so hard to pass. Clean air is everything, but also you get a big draft down these straightaways, so it's tough to just time your move and actually get to somebody and try and make a quality move for that race lead especially, but also just any position throughout the field. As we have some technical difficulties, we should be coming back to you. There we go. But it's so tough if you're Hayes Booth to try and make a quality pass here on Chris Mathis, because everything's just so tight, and Clean Air really does dominate in the corners.
Yeah, and it all boils down to when he wants to try to make the move, just being patient, as you mentioned, trying to get that clean air when he can. That dirty air definitely makes it harder to do so. You see Will Jones trying to take advantage of a little bit of clean air that he can get from behind both of them. He's starting to catch up to the latter half of that part. The latter half of that. You see Scott Warren trying to make a run there as they start snaking down the back straightaway.
Yeah, is one of the things you talk about how hard it is to pass here. It's just kind of the fact of the leader. Talk about clean air being everything. Well, one of the benefits of being a leader is you control the pace of the race. The 2 can't really do much about it unless he has that 56 who's willing to go with him wherever he wants, like Talladega, or you just get on the back bumper and go to the inside and try and just shoot by him like a draft pack. But even then, with the 18, the only way you're going to do it is on the inside. So if the 18Cs are going to do it, and now we see a caution again, I believe this might be the end of the stage. We don't really seem to have cautions. Yeah, that might have been the end of the stage there, but the challenges of these cautions, or the challenges of the passing here, is really going to depend on how the 18 wants to defend that.
So the completion of lap number 25 gives us our first stage break from the looks of things. Chris Mathis, your stage winner, and we're used to that at this point. Hayes Booth, second place, and it's Will Jones, Scott Warren, David Bradford snags that final stage point. Of course, here in the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series, we only pay the top 5 stage points, and Chris Mathis gets 5, Hayes Booth 4, Will Jones 3, Scott Warren 2, and David Bradford that one final stage point this evening for stage number 1. What an exciting stage 1. It was a little bit long and drawn out rather, with those couple of cautions we had in the early going, but we got to racing and those guys put on some pretty good nose to tail action, but also getting down to these. I mean, Hayes Booth put on a great fight there with Chris Mathis for a moment, trying to take that lead away, and I expect nothing but the same the rest of this one. We've still got the better side of 50 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen. And Trey Patton, like I said at the top of the show, even with those first few yellows hindering our progress, I'm excited to see how the rest of this one goes.
Yeah, as you said, we can only go up from here. And, after those first couple yellows, we went green the rest of the way. And the racing was actually really good. The tires tire wear came into play, and we saw everybody, was starting to be a little more patient, and, the track was doing its thing. The drivers were doing their thing, and, it turned into some battles, as we saw there between Chris Mathis and Hayes Booth. Will Jones was getting up in the mix, and we saw, even back in the top 10 and outside of the top 10, they were racing hard.
Yeah, just one of the things about it, once you get pretty spread out, it kind of becomes a battle of where the packs are, because unlike the Indy cars, you don't have the major runs you can get with the tow. As now pit road is open, I expect about everybody to come in, except the O2. The O2 going to stay out once again. A very interesting strategy call by him after what happened on the last restart, as they make their way down. The 25 of Bobby Hamilton Jr. also coming down, so he's going to use his first set. So the strategy that he played, he lost any chance at a stage point, but now he has that extra set of tires in the bag in case the late race caution comes out that he can use and potentially be able to overshoot any of these guys and take the win. So now everyone kind of back on equal footing except for the 02, who is going to take over the race lead now.
We see these drivers taking their pit stops. We'll be talking with stage winner Chris Mathis here shortly as he gets service done to his number 18 Ford Mustang. We'll see everybody leave their spots. I see David Bradford back there, Alan DeFries, Hayes Booth. Will beat out Will Jones, rather, and Alan DeFries, that's what I was tripping up on. He's up to third on exit of the pit lane. Thomas McMullen does stay out for now. We'll see if he decides to stay on the racetrack even longer, but I'd imagine he comes in this time by. But how about Chris Mathis, Hayes Booth? They hold their spot, but Alan DeFries up to third. I don't know where that came from in that number 71. It looks like possibly a two-tire stop. So we'll have to see rather how that works out for him. But we'll bring Chris Mathis in and talk to him. Trey Patton, take it away.
Hey, Chris, is Trey in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, Trey, I got you.
Well, it seems to be pretty routine that we got you in here. You started first. You've been up front most of the race. Currently second. Just tell us how the car's feeling.
It's loose, super loose. Yeah, it's weird.
So how the tire wear, this is an older track surface, before it was reconfigured. So, this was the 2009 scan versus on, what we're on now. How is the car handling? You said it's loose, but with the tire wear going into a long run, is it tightening up at all, or is it just getting overbearingly loose?
No, it tightens up over a run, but like right here on that, how long that run was right there, my right rear was 2% less than my right front. So, it's definitely wearing out the right rear. But it's also, I'm trying to stay in front of Hayes, try to get a stage win.
Yeah, and you're doing a really good job at that. You're doing a great job maintaining the front and driving the heck out of the car. Sorry about that. I fell out for a second. But yeah, you're driving the heck out of it. You're putting on a heck of a show. You know, there's 50 laps to go in the race. So, what can we expect for stage 2?
Pretty much the same. I'm gonna try to not. I think we're done with a couple cautions that started at the beginning of the race, so it's gonna be a little bit longer run. Older tires. I'm gonna try to save a little bit more. See if that'll help me out in a longer run.
So, do you think we'll see green flag pit stops, or do you think you guys will stretch it out to the end of the stage like you guys did last week?
No, I think we'll be good on fuel. Stretching it out, the pace will just slow down pretty good.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate talking to you. We'll get you back up there so you can prep for this restart.
All right, Trey. Appreciate it, man.
All right, thanks, man. That's Chris.
I do apologize to my colleague Trey Patton because I just moved him up into the driver's channel and to talk to all the drivers up there. I'm not sure how I did that, but not the first time, won't be the last time. And meanwhile, we are going to come to the green flag restart. Thomas McMullen did stay out, and he holds on to the race lead here. Trey, again, I'm sorry, but hey, you're back with us here as they race off into 1 and 2.
Yeah, man, it's just part of it. It happens. You see Mullen, as you said there, stayed out on those old tires. You know, he's on a 11 lap older tires than everybody else. And you're going to see Hayes Booth go to the inside here, trying to make a pass on Thomas McMullen. I think he'll have the pass going into 3.
Yeah, he's going to hold up the 18 of Mathis. Now the 2 trying to get to the inside of him as Hayes Booth still struggling to get it. He looks like he's going to clear him here. He will. Now he's just going to get a freight train on the bottom as here comes the 18 of Mathis, the 56 of Will Jones. And then you talk about the 71. You're wondering where the 2 tires stopped. Yes, he did. He only took right side. So very early strategy call on pit road by the 71, as now he is going to have only the right side fresh tires, as now he works towards the inside of the O2, as now he's going to fall further through the field as everybody else on those fresher tires are just going to go right around him. But now your new race leader, the number 2 Mustang of Haynes Booth, as that 18 RCI Miller Lite Ford, is going to try and chase him back down for the race lead.
Out of turn 2, they race. The top 3 get away, and Bobby Hamilton puts a block. I'm not sure who that was that he's blocking down to the bottom side of turn number 2 and down the backstretch, but definitely a block no less. They race side by side for 4th place as Bradford looks to get by DeFries on those 2 tires, those old left sides, and Cole Ainsley now going to race him into turn 4 and try and get that spot away. He does. Here comes Mark Truxell to try and get that spot from the 71 car. So a common theme here. If you don't take 4 tires, you're going backwards.
Absolutely. 4 tires is definitely the thing here. And that was actually Will Hewitt that Bobby Hamilton threw that massive block on. We're looking side by side with Alan DeFries and the 5 of Mark Truxell. You see Bobby Hamilton going side by side with DeFries with Will Hewitt right behind him. With this shot here, you can see all the way from the lead all the way back to about 13th. You see Chris Mathis going all the way down to the bottom, trying to get side by side with Hayes Booth as he actually takes the lead. Hasn't quite cleared him yet. They're going to be side by side going into 4.
Door to door now as he comes through turn number 4. The 18 of Mathis still on his inside, but the 2 has quite a run coming down the main straightaway. He's going to try and clear him this time while they're fighting. The 71 really coming close to causing error because he came really loose off of turn number 4. But then while we were focusing on that, the 2 of Haynes Booth has retaken the race lead away from the 18 as he is really putting the fight with him. We saw the 18 run away with the race lead on the first stage. Now come the second stage, that 2 has really started to open up whatever's in that motor, and he is running away with it as he still are spreading quite a big of a gap to the 56 of Will Jones as they get ready to set it off in turn number 3.
Down the bumps, down the backstretch, Hayes Booth leads into 3, and now Alan DeFries got a big chunk of outside retaining wall out of turn 4 the last time by. Went down to the inside and gave some spots up. He's now in 10th position behind Will Hewitt and Scott Warren, in front of Thomas McMullen and Cody Harger. Everybody else a lap down or more. Nose to tail, here comes Chris Mathis right to the back end of Hayes Booth. What a shot as they go down into turn 1. And I just don't know if you're going to be able to separate these two all race long unless one of them has an issue here in the later goings, because they are just all over one another. And this is great stuff between these two. Mathis looks high. Will he try and go low? He looked like he might go for a moment. Meanwhile, here's David Bradford into 3rd position. He won last week at Atlanta. A come from behind victory on Chris Mathis, who now puts a big move on Hayes Booth, and he'll take the race lead.
Yeah, went down to the bottom side there, takes the lead. Hayes Booth falls back to 2nd. You mentioned David Bradford all the way up to 3rd. We're looking on the onboard from the passenger side of Hayes Booth, trying to get back up to that Chris Mathis machine. Not quite going to get that there as we look as our shot going into turn 1. Wow, that's a good shot there.
Yeah, really good sense of speed as they shoot off into the south end of the racetrack, past the Hall of Fame Museum that was on the inside of the racetrack, right where that camera is, as now the fight going on back further onto the field between 86 and Colt Ansley, as he's going to try and get around the 5 of Mark Truxell there for about the 4th position, as they are still side by side. Bobby Hamilton Jr. lurking right behind them, ready to pounce whenever the time is right, as they're going to single file their way through turns number 3. On board now with the Waffle House machine of Bobby Hamilton Jr. I believe he's actually raced here before in the Cup Series, so he actually has a little bit of experience driving the Cup cars, even though they were a couple of generations older. But nonetheless, any time you get to run at Indianapolis is quite a big deal, and obviously he's going to try and use that to his advantage, as he's right on the back bumper of that number 5, possibly going to take a peek to the inside of that. I believe that's the Cannibal Corpse 5. Really interesting sponsor there of a metal band, as again, just single file out, as he's going to try and bide his time and figure out the correct time to try and make a pass.
These guys still just riding, and it was side by side with Hewitt and Truxell for a moment, or rather Ainsley and Truxell. I got Hewitt confused there, but yeah, they were racing for a moment. Now they've singled out, and I think it's going to stay that way. Well, Hewitt does join them, though. He's 4th in that line, and Scott Warren joins them in 9th in the race, and these guys actually fighting for 5th through 9th position. Now side by side, it looks like might be Truxell and Hamilton Jr. on exit of turn number 4. Here comes the 25 to the inside of the number 5 down the front stretch, and he dips right back in behind him. We're coming up to halfway, ladies and gentlemen, and this thing still has a ways to go, but we've already seen a lot take place.
Yeah, a lot. You know, that's a lot has taken place. Yeah, I mean, a lot more is going to take place. You know, as you mentioned, we're coming up on halfway, so we still have a long ways to go. You know, this battle back here, as you mentioned, this is from 5th on back. You know, you have Colt Ainsley up there leading this pack with Truxell, Hamilton, Hewitt, and Scott Warren at the tail end of the pack. You know, just further on back from there, so you have Cody Harger in the top 10, which is about 6 seconds behind them. But, you know, further ahead, you know, you see that front group, you know, Chris Mathis still leading the way. David Bradford also trying to get up there. Will Jones also getting up in the mix.
David Bradford of the 46 now having a run on the 2-2. Really starting to fall off the pace a little bit. Might have used up the good part of stuff in the tires, as he's really slipping off the pace right into the clutches of the 46. He's going to be stuck right behind him, right on that dirty air. We talk about over and over again how important clean air is, and this is exactly why when you come to these corners, you have so much momentum because of the draft. It makes it so much harder to enter that corner and get down the speed to be able to hold it in there, which really gives you a lot of understeer on exit, which is exactly what these guys are going to have to deal with. As now, thanks to the draft of the 46, the 2 car has able to kind of reclose the gap to the 18. So the fight for the lead is starting to shake up a little bit. I don't know if they're going to be able to have enough to get around them, but still, we're about to have that 3-car fight that we saw from stage 1 a couple laps ago.
They're almost 3 wide as Hamilton Jr. just barely slips back in front of Ainsley. This is a fight for the back, and this is, again, 5th through 9th that we're looking at, and man, these guys are mixing things up. Hamilton gets by the 86, and he's now fighting for 5th place, get into the top 5 and get that last stage point at the end of stage number 2. And it looks like now they'll drive away from one another, so the fight, or I guess the focus turns back up to our race leaders. Since we are coming up to halfway, I want to mention that the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series could not do it without support from their partners at Waffle House, First Horizon Bank, Whoppers, Zero Zero Bar, Candy Bar, Dr. Pepper, and 7-Up. Some amazing partners here of the SCAR for short. And wow, here comes David Bradford with a big move to the inside of Hayes Booth. You'll see some of those brands represented on paint schemes throughout the field, most notably the 25 of Bobby Hamilton Jr. and the 86 of Cole Ainsley. And a little bit sideways through two was Hayes Booth as he defends for second place, but I think he is going to lose that battle and fall into third.
You see you got a little sideways there, and he goes up the track. That's going to be an easy pickup for David Bradford as he slides into the second spot. Now he's going to try and use that slipstream to try to catch up to Chris Mathis, but, as we mentioned before, that dirty air is not really helping him right now as Chris Mathis has all the clean air in the world.
Yeah, he's going to be able to control the pace of the race, exactly what he's going to try and do. As soon as anybody is able to try and make a pass, he's going to snake it on the front straightaway, or the back straightaway for that matter, to try and break the toe. But as of right now, he knows that there's really nobody's able to make a pass, so he's just going to keep running the line he's been running. The 46 has, in fact, cleared two, so now we do have a shakeup at the front of the field, as now David Bradford, last week winner, is going to try and fight the 18 car. So now the 46, who started at the very tail of the field, we talk about his run-ups to the field, how hard it is to pass. He's making it look easy because he's already by the halfway point of this race. He's up there ready to fight Chris Mathis tooth and nail for that race lead. And how impressive would it be if he's able to say, hey, you could give me that penalty to start at the back all you want. I'm still going to win it, and win it at a track like Indianapolis. So 2 wins in a row and at really difficult racetracks nonetheless. It would be very impressive if he's able to pull that off.
Hayes Booth still all kinds of out of shape out of 3, and he's going to fall victim to Will Jones for third. And, oh, man, that was tied up out of the corner. They'll get it sorted out. I don't think we're going to have green flag pit stops this evening just based on the fact that we have, we're still going, and we're 9 laps away, 8 laps away from the end of stage number 2. I don't think 25, 30 laps, I don't think that's going to be long enough for green flag pit stops. Regardless, still good to get these kind of runs in, and these guys are starting to get into a decent little groove right now and get some laps knocked out of the way as they fight all the way around this place. There's Fred Straywich slow on the bottom side. Issues for the number 27. Wonder what's up with him, but he is very, very slow down there.
Looked like he had some damage on the left rear. It could have just been from that angle. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, definitely some issues.
I'm surprised
for that
this isn't drawing a yellow.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. He actually might be out of fuel. Maybe he took tires the last time. I'm not sure. As we see, he's going to pull down on the access road. It's really interesting. I'll try to get us to look in here. Maybe he hit the wall or something.
Yeah, but he's out. It sounds like he's out of fuel because the engine isn't completely cut off. I'm looking at the onboard from about a lap prior, and when he came into turn number 1, he's already very off the pace. So it doesn't exactly sound like a motor issue because I'm not hearing the conk. So it sounds like he's just completely out of fuel and that he's going to try and coast back to the pits. I don't think it's going to cause a caution just because of the fact that he is on the...
No, motor let go. We just heard it. Motor let go in turn number 1, and he's trying to coast back. Big problems here for Fred Straywich, and I'm not sure he's going to get back to the pit lane as they continue to race by him. But we heard it there on the broadcast. Fred Straywich's motor did let go, I think, just from damage from that incident that you brought up, Noah, with that secondary incident on that yellow not so long ago with Nick Hurd and Vincent Short. So I think that is just compounded into a very big issue here for the driver of the 27. Meanwhile, up ahead, it's still pretty orderly as last year Hayes Booth barely hanging onto that car to turn number 1, but he does for now. And man, it's so hard to ride that edge of grip, that slip angle of the tires, and not get too far sideways, either to loop it, Trey, or even to just slide into the wall.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to control the tires and everything, But now that we're talking about it, looks like Fred Straywich is off the racing surface. He made it back to pit road, whether he towed or not, but he is off the racing surface. Meanwhile, we're going to catch back up with our leaders. You see David Bradford trying to get back up there. Will Jones up in 3rd, Hayes Booth 4th, Truxell back in 5th. Chris Mathis is making it look easy out here.
Yeah, he's dominated the early portion of his race after starting on pole. The only time we haven't really seen anybody else lead was when the 02 and the 25 stayed out, and then on the restart when the 2 was able to get around the 02, thanks to the 18 being held up, and now he's just sailed away with the race lead. hasn't really been enough to actually pull a gap, but it's just been not close enough for everybody to make a pass, which has worked just fine for him. He has led almost every lap. Just as I say that, the 46 closes right up on the back door, and he might have a little bit of a run to perform the pass as he exits off of turn 4. Look at how close he is. He might try to make a peek to the inside, but no, he just doesn't have the run on corner exit to make that happen. And now the 18 is going to snake down straight away, like I said, and break that toe to prevent the 46 from having even a shot at moving to the inside. He might try the outside here.
Watching both onboards here as they fight through turn 1. Oh, Bradford catches the curb sideways, hangs onto it, but he's going to have company from the hard-charging Will Jones, who I think got right to the back end of the 46, but had to back out. Oh, Mathis tied up out of the corner. This is going to give a massive run to David Bradford down the back straightaway.
Yeah, this is what we were talking about. He has it. Unless he makes a mistake. If you saw Bradford made a mistake, maybe he was looking in that mirror, had a sigh of relief, like, all right, cool. And then, lost his train of focus there. As you see, he almost tagged the outside wall there with the right rear. But that opened the door back up for Bradford as they're back to about the same gap as they were before the mistake.
And they go back down to the front straightaway. The 46 almost had a run able to make it to turn number 3, but he didn't do it just yet. He still rides back there in the second spot. Will Jones right there on the back door. Really big gap to the 2 car of Haynes Booth back there in fourth as they make their way through turn number 2. Back down the back straightaway once more, past the golf course and all the beautiful sights and sounds of Speedway, Indiana, with the lake right on the outside, the fans on both sides of the racetrack as they get ready to set off into 3. The 46 car, now the run, almost made a peek to the inside, not going to be able to do it, but he is really bringing on the heat to the 18, as in the next few laps, he might be able to get it a pass done if he doesn't clip that apron once again.
Out of turn number 4 they go, and they are fighting. This is fighting hard for the stage win. You see the TV broadcast cameras on the bottom right as we ride on board with Will Jones in third. I mean, this is good Indianapolis racing. And Chris Mathis, a bit of a wide entry right there to 1. We'll see if it impacts his exit out of the corner. Looks like no, he's all okay. I wasn't sure if he was going to hit the apex or even get a bigger run out. But David Bradford, it looks like, going to fight right up. Well, he got a run, it looked like, through 2. Just sat the car right down into the corner the way he needed to, but he didn't really do anything with it. Now on board with him as Will Jones actually nears his rear end. Is he going to make a move into the corner?
Yeah, Will Jones had a heck of a run going into turn 3. As we see, he couldn't really do much with it as he falls a little bit off, and now we're on board with Will Jones. David Bradford still trying to use that slipstream, trying to get back up to Chris Mathis. We're going to see them snake down the front straightaway. As you see, they go straight to the middle of the track, trying to break the draft going into turn 1.
Again, the 46 has the run, not enough to be able to make a move. He was about at the point where a normal driver would, but he realizes that he's going to do a lot more harm than good if he does it that late in the corner. That's exactly the kind of situation you need to be in. You just have to have enough of a run on corner exit to peek to the inside, but this late in the run is just so hard to do. So again, he's going to have the toe. The 18 is going to snake it on the straightaway to prevent any chance of that. So now he might try to make a high. He might peek down to the bottom. They're going to just stay in line as they still stay single file as now we approach about the 30 to go mark.
Chris Mathis still leading. We're coming up to the white flag in stage number 2, this time by. This isn't for all the marbles, but it's for a handful of them, because if you win this stage, you get 5 points. And that's going to make a big difference as you try to move your way up the standings or hold on to a points lead if you're Chris Mathis. And 5 points is the difference, I believe, coming into this race. Yes, the difference between David Bradford and Chris Mathis. Mathis already has 5, so if Bradford wants to get back even with him, he's got to go up there and get those 5 points, of course. I think Mathis would still be up on the evening because he would finish second. Regardless, Bradford has to get by this 18 car if he wants to have a fighting chance at the points lead after this evening. Down the backstretch for the final time in stage number 2, when Bradford lunges into 3. Can't quite get there. Bobby Hamilton Jr. is trying to near the back end of Mark Truxell to get that final stage point. Still looking from the back of Chris Mathis out of turn 4, and I think it's all said and done for stage 2. Hayes Hayes Booth, maybe a piece of that outside wall across the stripe. The yard of bricks, and stage 2 is complete. Chris Mathis, your stage winner. Did Hayes Booth, he fell all the way back to 5th spot, but stays ahead of Bobby Hamilton Jr. for that final stage point.
Yeah, Hayes Booth did a good job holding on to that machine. Truxell benefits getting that extra stage point. He gets, I believe, 2 stage points for that since only the top 5 pay out. Bobby Hamilton Jr. had a hard fight trying to get that spot, but looks like Chris Mathis is going to sweep stage 1 and stage 2. Not uncommon to see Chris Mathis do that in this series.
Yeah, he's just been on a man on a mission, and no one's been able to stop him ever since he's been in the race lead. He just has that setup figured out, and for a guy who says complaining how loose that setup was in an interview, it's not really seeming to affect him that much, because he has just dominated this race from the get-go. As now we're going to probably expect these guys to come back down pit road and get those fresh set of Goodyear Eagles as they get ready for about the final 25 laps of this race when they go green.
We are just past the 5/8 mark of this race, of course, because, well, it'd be past. I'm not even going to explain the fraction. Anyways, this has been an interesting one. I'm really surprised we had those early yellows, then we had a stage just go completely green right there, guys, because the way they were racing in the early goings, I thought we were in for a little bit of trouble at first, but that was a very clean stage number 2. I don't think we had a single yellow, did we? So very good stuff from these guys. Chris Mathis, I mean, what can we say? He continues where he left off at Atlanta Motor Speedway, just possibly the best of the series. David Bradford is there with him, but it's going to take a lot, I think, to unseat that number 18, just like it took a lot at Atlanta to unseat that number 18 for the race win. And man, I don't know how you do it. I'm not sure how you go up there and you beat that 18 car heads up, because he's just been so good all evening long. But David Bradford, Will Jones, they gave him the best fight 1 week ago, so I wouldn't put it past them. We are going to talk to David Bradford after this round of pit stops, so just be ready for that one. But we are coming to those caution flag pit stops here at the end of stage number 2. And everybody going to come down the pit lane for service.
Yeah, you want to talk about, last week, how he came back and stuff. If anybody knows how to come back for a win from saving tires, as from what we saw last week, I think it is David Bradford. He's starting second. He fell back a little bit last week. And even Will Jones, he's up in second right now, getting about to get service on his car. So, I mean, between Will Jones, Chris Mathis, and David Bradford.
Bobby Hamilton missed his box. Yeah,
that's not good for Bobby at all. He's gonna have to go back around, and that's gonna put him, I believe, 13th, because there's 13 cars on the lead lap. So not ideal for Bobby Hamilton Jr. there at all.
And a big shakeup on pit road as Will Jones is going to drop to 3rd. David Bradford, because I believe just because of the pit box section he has, he's going to drop back to about the 5th or 6th spot. So really big shakeup on the pit road as the 2 drivers opted to shake things up. That being Scott Warren and Mark Truxell. They're going to restart 2nd and 3rd on this next restart.
I don't think they shook things up at all, because they had actually longer pit stops by 1/10 of a second than Chris Mathis. Will Jones is just stuck in his box for 21.7 seconds, much like, actually David Bradford was a little bit slow in his box, but nothing too crazy. Thomas McMullen there as well. Just a 4-second difference between those guys, between Bradford and McMullen, that led to Bradford losing some spots, Will Jones as well. And the other slow stops, Cody Harger 23.1, Will Hewitt 29.7, Hayes Booth 38.2. So big problems there for the number 2 car. But what do you say we turn it over to Noah Carmichael here with David Bradford, who comes up just short of winning stage number 1. Noah, take it away.
David Bradford, Noah Carmichael over to PitStop TV booth.
Yeah, man, I got you loud and clear.
Well, you seem to have been the man on a mission. You started the way at the back after winning last week with that last place penalty for the win. How has it been trying to charge your way up to the field after these early wrecks on stage 1?
Man, it's actually been quite a bit of fun. It's been more about the driver this weekend than any other weekend so far, I think. Just kind of waiting on the car to rotate and turn in the center and picking up the gas when you can. Kind of shot myself in the foot right there, sliding through my box, and then I threw it in reverse, stalled the car out. I was having a party over there on pit road trying to just get into my box.
Well, we've been seeing you kind of struggle to get around that 18 car. We're talking about the challenges of passing alone. Explain to us a little bit of the challenge of trying to get the run to pass at 18 for the race lead, and if you really even have a plan on how to get around him if you get the shot.
I mean, this track here is all about getting down them long straightaways. So I've been giving up a little bit of time in turns 1 and 3, just taking it easy getting in there so I can get a big run through 2 and 4 and getting just big runs down that straightaway. I probably could have forced the issue there a little bit and maybe got alongside of him, but it wasn't the time to do it yet.
All right, well, hopefully we do get a time to see you make that pass and hopefully talk to you later in the race. We'll let you get started, get ready for this restart, and hopefully you can put on a pretty good show for us here in stage 3.
I'll try my best, guys.
I moved for the right person that time, I promise. Trey Patton is still with us. But, of course, I say it every single broadcast at this point. Always good to talk to these guys and get their opinions on things, mid-race, post-race, whatever it may be. Chris Mathis will lead us to this restart, as has become normal this evening at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Mark Truxell on the outside row, or the outside of row number 1, rather. Scott Warren third, then it's Will Jones. Thomas McMullen, your top 5. And we come to the restart zone, lap 54, coming to lap 55 of 80.
You see Chris Mathis having a great restart once again. We're going to see Scott Warren go down to the inside, had a good restart there. He's going to go to P2. Mark Truxell going to slide back to 3rd. We're almost 3 wide in the back for 3rd place.
Yeah, really big stack up there between the 5 of Truxell, the 56 of Jones, and the 02 of Thomas McMullen, as they're going to be right in a really big fight as the 46 of David Bradford are going to try and close in. He is now starting to make his way up. He's past the 66 and the 2, now setting his sights on that 02 Chevrolet as they make their way through turns 3 and 4 this time by, as now they begin to single file themselves out, and now the 76 is going to possibly try and make a run on the 18 down the front straightaway. Oh, but he gets into the wall, and that's going to kill all the momentum he has.
Couple of wall taps out of 4. Here comes Truxell to the bottom side of Warren. He wants to get second place, and he's going to get it into turn number 1. How about the number 5 of Mark Truxell? Mr. Where did he come from this evening? But he does slide up, maybe taps the left side of Scott Warren. They get it sorted out for now. They raise through 2. Warren loose on the top side. He's going to lose that second position very sideways out of turn number 2, and he's going to bring the 56 Will Jones right in there with him. And Jones actually going to get tipped to the inside of Warren into 3.
Yeah, that was almost really, really, really bad. So I'm glad they ended up working that out. You see Mark Truxell right on the back end of Chris Mathis. That ended up working into his favor as he's starting to close in for the battle.
Whoa, Cody Harger, massive incident. No, did he save that?
No, he did not. He really heavily hit the outside wall. I believe if you're saying he saved it from hitting the inside wall, I believe the answer is yes, but he just destroyed the right side of the race cars. He's side by side with Bobby Hamilton Jr. Turn number 4, you see the replay here. Coming to the north end of the speedway through turn number 4. Bobby Hamilton is inside. He's in no man's land up there in the marbles and just shot him right into the outside wall. Hangs onto it. Wow, that was a great
That's what I
save.
called out as the massive incident. I thought he was for sure done and into that inside wall head on. That's an incredible save by him to hang on to that race car, Cody Harger.
Yeah, nonetheless, we're back here looking at the battle for the lead. Chris Mathis still leading way. Mark Truxell in P2. Will Jones behind him. David Bradford still up in the mix. He's actually made his way up to P4. It's a good run for David Bradford coming into this final stage. They're single file all the way back through the top 10. We see Scott Warren trying to make a run onto David Bradford. We see them going into the corners here, onto the straightaway. Bobby Hamilton Jr. also getting up into the mix here. Thomas McMullen further on back behind him. And looks like Bobby Hamilton Jr. is going to the inside to make a pass on Scott Warren. And he makes the pass.
Yeah, this is about the tightest we've seen these leaders all race long. The 5 right on the back bumper to the 18 to make the race to turn number 4. I don't know where Truxell found the speed because he was kind of struggling there at the end of stage number 2, but now he has started to find his momentum. Is now he is right on the toe of the 18. Not going to be able to make a pass this run, but he will in the next few corners if he keeps up the speed. Will Jones at 56 also closing the door on him, so he might try and make it on the 5 well to take over second. And then David Bradford, who's just been knocking in the back door of the 18 of Mathis all race long, fighting for him in the points lead. The 18 got really high at turn number 2. That's going to hinder his speed down the straightaway, and that might help the 5 if he wants to try and get something done in turn 1 next time by.
Will Hewitt does pass Cole Ainsley. That was further back. That was for 9th position, just inside the top 10. Other battles throughout the top 10. Nick Mullen trying to fend off Hayes Booth. Hamilton Jr. has fought to the far side, the north side of Scott Warren down the front stretch. And, well, the top 4 still nose to tail pretty well. And Mark Truxell, just insert him into the top 3 we had from Atlanta Motor Speedway, the best 3 that we had all night long. You can kind of put, well, actually, no, you can totally put Bobby Hamilton Jr. and Hayes Booth on that list as well as the best drivers we saw 1 week ago, but they aren't totally following up on that. Hayes Booth was in the early goings in stage 1, but since then has fallen off the docket, and it's all Mark Truxell picking up his slack. Bobby Hamilton Jr. does get into the top 5, but man, again, where did he come from for that number 5 car?
Yeah, we didn't really talk much about Mark. We kind of saw he was mid-pack, sitting in the top 10, and he just had a really, really great pit stop. And, as I mentioned before, having that track position is key, and now he's up into the top 3, making a run for the lead. So hopefully we can see him do something. It's nice to see some of the guys we don't get to talk about very much up front.
Yeah, now under 20 to go as they enter into turn number 1. Truxell with a really, again, just a really good head of steam, really holding on up there at the front, up there in P2. Jones, who, again, we're surprised that he kind of made the start after the very scary incident he had during practice where he just lost any sort of setting with his wheel that ended up shooting him to the inside wall. And he's just lucky enough to be here. Sorry, I got a little bit scared as there was a car with a really loud exhaust right outside blowing into my ear. So that kind of threw me off for a bit. David Bradford back and forth, closing in on the 56. So again, this top 5 fight has really started to heat up. Now Bobby Hamilton Jr. has made his way back up. So this top 5 is starting to get heated up here the last 20 laps.
Down to the inside will go Mark Truxell, a fight for the race lead. Can he unseat the number 18? He can! A big move from Mark Truxell for the race lead. Does he get crossed back up? No, he defends into turn 2 as well. Mark Truxell up into the race lead for the first time all season long and unseats Chris Mathis when Hayes Booth couldn't. Well, here comes Mathis trying to fight back to the inside. Will he make a move into 3? That doesn't look like it just yet. They'll ride nose to tail through 3 and 4, but, man, no, you're breaking the 4th wall there, saying there's loud exhaust outside. Believe me, those are just race cars. We're just in the broadcast booth here in Indianapolis. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, there's lots of loud cars out here for sure. As we see, Mark Truxell holds on to the lead. He's going to lead that lap. As we said, he unseats Chris Mathis. He's really been up in the top spot. P1 is really his throne. Mark Truxell's had a really good run as he keeps the lead going down in turn 1. I figured Chris Mathis would try and get a good run there. If anybody knows how to get the front, it is Chris Mathis. We're looking further back. He is right on the back bumper of Mark Truxell.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the drivers are going to start to realize now this is the chance they've been waiting for because they know if the 18 gets back around there, it's about race done unless they can get that run like the 5 did. So what they're going to do is try to dogpile, which is exactly what the 56 is going to do. Jump into the inside of the 18. They're going to go way high. They're going to make contact, and that's going to allow David Bradford to close in, but that is going to ruin the run the 18 had. And that's going to stack up the 2nd through 4th as now they are right nose to tail, and that's great news for Truxell. He's going to open up about a half a car length, about a half a second lead over the 18 of Mathis, who now has all that clean air to try and run him back down.
That was amazing racing through 3 and 4 in that time. Mark Truxell now with a bit of separation here for the first time since he took the race lead. Chris Mathis falls a few tenths back. Will Jones, man, I'm just not so sure that was a high percentage move to the inside of Chris Mathis into turn 3 that last time by. Now Chris Mathis trying to use the draft to drive back up to Mark Truxell into turn 3. Doesn't quite get there that time, of course. That's a bit of a mountain to climb now, a few tenths that he's got to regain, and we're getting closer and closer to crunch time here, Trey. Mark Truxell may have just done what he needed to do with help from Will Jones to maybe eke out a race win, but it's still a little bit early to be talking about a win as here comes Mathis to the bottom side.
Yeah, we're coming up on about 15 laps to go, so plenty of racing left. But with that, what we saw with Will Jones and Chris Mathis there, if I'm Mark Truxell, I want to see more of that in my mirror. It's going to slow them down. It's going to give him all the clean air. He has all the clean air in the world anyway. He's up front. But the more he can have that and people not pressuring him from behind, it's going to make him be more relaxed. I think he's got it unless he makes a mistake.
Yeah, but again, one of the things he needs to keep in mind is now that he controls the pace of this race. So he needs to do the exact kind of thing that Chris Mathis has been doing all race long. Kind of watch your mirror and make sure and see what the 18 is going to do. Because if you see that 18 quickly getting in the rear view of your mirror, you need to start snaking that thing down the straightaway and break the toe, or else you're going to just allow the 18 to shoot on by you. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's not going to go down there and snake. That's going to allow the 18 to have a big head of momentum as he might try and make a peak to turn number 1. He thinks better of it and decides to bide his time once again. He's going to try again off of turn number 2. But still, he needs to start playing defensive because we're approaching 10 laps to go. So he needs to start snaking down the straightaway and try to protect that bottom to keep the 18 from getting any sort of chance of passing for the race lead. And here he goes as we're about to see a half of lead as he get ready to stuff into 3.
Chris Mathis, a big run down to turn 3, easily clears Mark Truxell. I think Mark's just happy to get those laps led right now, and he can fight back the rest of this run. But David Bradford, how about a big move for third as he takes that spot away from Will Jones. Bobby Hamilton Jr. tries to follow. Can't just yet, as well. Will Jones will slot right into 4th place, and Mark Truxell just looking all kinds of off pace right now. This is exactly the separation and the cushion with the 5 car there that Chris Mathis needs to drive away, as inside goes Will Jones again, and again, I think an ill-advised move to go back to the inside of a car and almost push up into him.
You're seeing Will Jones, drive very, very deep down into the corner. Didn't work out. He's just using his tires up there. I wonder if, with Truxell there, you saw how much that Chris Mathis was wheeling that car. So I wonder if he saw that and was like, oh, he's using up his tires. So maybe if I let him by, if I hold him back and he's going to keep driving. So I wonder if that was a strategy move maybe by Truxell to let him by and let him use up his stuff so he can focus on trying to save up and then work on getting a run to set up for the lead pass at the end.
And David Bradford now with a big head of momentum down the straightaway. He might try and take a peek on the 5 car in the coming corners here. Really close on his back bumper to possibly take back the 2nd spot, which is great news for himself as he tries to close down the points gap to Chris Mathis. As Chris still looking for his first win of the season, David Bradford still trying to look for his 2nd win after starting in P last as they make their way off of turn number 2. The 5 car looks like he might have gotten into the wall as the 46 jumps down to the bottom side. He's going to take over the 2nd spot as now Will Jones might try and take a peek on the 56 for that 3rd spot as they approach turn 3.
Bradford went all the way down to the white line and the grass down there out of turn 2. Now they fight through turn 4. Will Jones to the bottom side of Mark Truxell, and this is the beginning of the slide to the rear, I think, for that 5 car. 3 wide possibly down the front stretch. Does Hamilton Jr. go for it? No, I think he's going to fall back in. In fact, Will Jones actually falls back in as Hamilton is going to bring the fight to Will Jones. This is for 4th place. There goes the 25 car. Big move for Bobby Hamilton Jr. as he takes that 4th spot away in the Waffle House Ford Mustang. You see Hayes Booth and Scott Warren fighting further back. That's for 6th and 7th position. Thomas McMullen riding in 8th with a big separation to Alan DeFries and more separation to Cole Ainsley. The rest of the field very spread out.
If I'm Bobby Hamilton right now, going to make that move, we saw prior. It looked like, Will Jones wasn't able to really hold the car on the bottom side by side. I don't know if it's just because he's used up his tires or he's just trying to drive the corner in or drive into the corner too fast. But I know if I'm Bobby, I'm going to take the bottom away from Will. That way he can't push up into me. So if I take that spot from him, it's just going to push him up the track more and slow him down. So that's pretty much a free spot.
Something else I'm starting to notice is ever since David Bradford took over the second spot, he has really started to reel in the 18. So my big question now is, did David Bradford really kind of weather away his tires when fighting Will Jones after getting shoved up to the outside of the groove that one lap a couple of laps ago, as now David Bradford is really starting to reel him in? He might be a potential fight for the race lead here, as now we are approaching 10 laps to go. The 18 really high through 1 and 2 through turns 3 now. That's going to allow the 46 right on that rear bumper, as now Bradford possibly going to take the race lead here in the next 2 laps. He is really bringing the fight to the 18 as we approach the final few laps of this race.
You know, Matt Benedetto said it was deja vu at Talladega earlier today. It's deja vu here in Indianapolis as David Bradford, big move for the race lead, possibly battling Chris Mathis now for the race win late in the race for the second week in a row. At Atlanta 1 week ago, he did it on the top side. A last-second move. They're going to pass Cody Harger, and in fact, there goes Chris Mathis trying to get a slipstream. But actually, I think that may have hurt the 18 a little bit. I don't think that really helped him much as Bradford just held in line, and I don't think he lost a gap or anything. Harder down to the bottom side, he gives up that position to all of these lead drivers. But it's the same thing as 1 week ago. David Bradford just trying to find a way by that 18 car, but he's definitely, I don't think, going to be able to do it on the top side of the racetrack here in Indianapolis. It seems like you're going to have to make a big move to the inside, a big slide job work.
Yeah, using the outside of the track's really not going to get you anywhere. The last lap, when they were side by side going into one, seeing that battle kind of reminded me of when Truex and Kyle Busch had that battle in Indianapolis a couple years ago. But fortunately for us, they didn't end up taking each other out. But that just shows the level of aggression that's going on in this race, and I suspect that to happen again. But hopefully it doesn't end up with those two guys in the wall.
David Bradford really closing in now as they get ready to set to turn number 4. Got approaching 8 laps to go now. The fight for this race lead really starting to pick up as the 46 is unrelentless as they come off of turn number 4. Nobody really behind to make a move as the 46 he just doesn't have the momentum to be able to get the pass done. He might try and get to turns 3 this time by, but now he's going to have to stay in line because he just didn't have the runoff of 4 to be able to make the move. That is real. Those are really the most important corners in this racetrack, is the exit of 2 and 4. But that's really what's going to set up the mood for the rest of the straightaway on whether or not you get the run. So he needs to kind of set this up perfectly. It doesn't really look like it again. He just lost a little bit of time coming off of turn number 2, and I think that's going to force him to have to try again in the next lap.
Yeah, to your point, Noah, you can get away with a bit of a mistake, a bit of a slower run through 1 and 3, but you've got to nail the entry, center, exit, every part of 2 and 4, and David Bradford nailed 3 that time. He almost had a run on Chris Mathis. He almost looked to the inside of that number 18 into turn 4, but thought better of it, it looks like. I think he could have lunged there, but now Mathis going to defend on the bottom side, drafting down the front stretch. Go Mathis and Bradford. Look at who's rejoining this fight. Mark Truxell gaining time. Bradford fights back to the top side the way he did it 1 week ago. Will he actually make it work? Oh, contact! Oh, and he gets shunted into the fence! Oh, no! Oh,
that's
no.
Not what you want to see. We're still green. Bradford's still trying to get a hold of that race car. He's up and out of the ways. You're going to see him go down to the bottom side. That's really bad heartbreak as he's dropping.
They're 3 wide. They're 3 wide.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. How about this? Up to P1 in a big move through turn number 3. Mathis maybe going to try and fight back. I wonder if he's got damage. He has a bit, it looks like, to the right side of that number 18. Truxell stays in third. Oh, Mathis catches the wall out of turn number 4. Will he put a move on Hamilton into 1? Yes, he will. 6 laps to go.
Yeah, definitely a good run there. Good move by Bobby Hamilton Jr. You're going to see
he's sideways!
Sideways out of the corner. Still holds on to that thing. Has the preferred line, but I don't know if he's got the speed right now to hold on to it. There, he's still fighting that car. Coming down the back straightaway. We see Mark Truxell going to run down to the inside, almost going to make it 3 wide. No, they get back into line, but he's going to have the run to take second right here going into 3.
Yeah, a lot of damage onto the right side of the 18 car because of that, with the incident with the 46 of David Bradford. I would not be surprised if Bradford's too happy. Thankfully, we probably won't have to interview him, so we might have to save ourselves from a couple swear words, because I don't think he's going to be the happiest driver on the grid. But still, because of that, that's really opened up the fight to a 4-car tandem between Mathis, Hamilton Jr., Truxell, and Jones. But now the field's starting to single file their way out. Bobby Hamilton was struggling to hold on to on the exit of 1 after taking a race lead. He's going to have to try again now. Only 5 laps to go, and we were wondering if they're going to be able to put up a good show here in Indianapolis. So far, the answer is yes. These last 10 laps have been something to behold, as they have been doing everything they can to try and make a move for this race lead. And Mathis is still just trying to say, what do I have to do here? I've been throwing everything at a wall, hoping it would stick, and I just can't be able to hold these guys off. He just is struggling on what could be his first win here tonight.
We've been talking about Mathis as the best driver in the series right now. He still doesn't have a race win, but he might just be able to do it here in Indianapolis. That said, that right side damage is exactly what these drivers need to be able to get back by him and try and challenge him for that race lead, because every bit of aero damage is going to hurt you at a place like Indianapolis, where aerodynamics is everything. So beating that right side up a bit is exactly what Chris Mathis could not afford. That said, the 18 is still looking rather good, and he's hanging on to this race lead, and I think he's just got the better tires right now, which also a big dictation of who wins here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, because those tires are literally everything. It's everything that keeps a car on the racetrack, of course, and if you don't have the tire grip to boot, well, you're just going to be slipping and sliding like Bobby Hamilton is right now.
Yeah, having the best tires is really what it's going to come down to. You know, you see Bobby, I guess he's used up his tires. He's slipping and sliding. We're on board with Bobby right now. As you see, he's trying to get that run down the front straightaway, up against the wall, trying to run down Chris Mathis. We're going to see what he does going into turn 1. Gets a really good run going into the corner. You see Mathis all the way down to those rumble strips. But it looks like Bobby's not really going to do much with that run yet.
Yeah, he's just really struggling to hold on to the car right now. He's just really loose on the entries of 2 and 4 as they make their way down the back straightaway once again. And like we talk about, the exits of 2 and 4 are the most important part of this racetrack in these stock cars. And so far, it's just been not working well for the 25 Waffle House Mustang. As you're going to see, he closes the gap coming into the short shoe. It's really going to depend if he really starts to figure out these tires. Now, he's on the back bumper, but again, just a bad entry in a turn number 4. And that's going to kind of dictate how he is down the front straightaway. Just no momentum to be able to get something done as now they approach 2 to go. He's going to have to throw a Hail Mary here and hopefully overtake that 18 car for the winner, or else he's going to have to settle for second or possibly third if Will Jones can get something done.
Whoa, that was very close. Mathis up the racetrack to block, well, I think really just get a better run into 1. Oh, Bobby Hamilton and Will Jones sideways out of 1. But, yeah, so that was really close between the 18 to get up in front of the 25 again. And they're going to line him back up and try and fight once more here. It's 2 laps to go now, a lap and a half. And I don't know if he can get by the 18 car. It's going to take a team effort.
Yeah, team effort for sure. If I'm Chris Mathis, I want to see these guys slipping and sliding behind me. He's having, that damage isn't really, it's not helping him in his case, but these guys slipping and sliding is definitely helping him hold here. As we're coming out of turn 4, coming to take the white flag. We're on board with Bobby Hamilton once again. You're going to see him snake down to the inside, almost down to the inside wall as we cross the bricks for the white flag. Here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Chris Mathis leads us into turn 1.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. doing whatever he can. You see that back end just a little bit step out. That's going to hinder his exit off of turn number 1. A little bit of a wiggle there as now he comes through turn number 2. Going to try and get on the back straightaway. He just doesn't have the run to do it. Again, sliding off the corner. That's going to ruin any momentum he had. That's going to allow Will Jones to get a run. He's going to block the top side, hold on to Will Jones down to the bottom. As now we have a little bit of an aggressive fight for second as they approach the north end for the final time.
A big fight for second place, exactly what Chris Mathis needs. They would have had to team up to go up there and beat that number 18 car. Chris Mathis was the best pusher at Daytona. He was the best overall at Atlanta 1 week ago. And this evening at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, out of the final corner for the final time across the yard of bricks, Chris Mathis, a winner at Indianapolis in the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series.
What a race. Chris Mathis put on an absolute show. I mean, not even Chris Mathis, but everybody in this series put on an absolute show. The last 15 laps or so was absolutely incredible. You know, Chris Mathis fought off the field. You know, I mean, even for Chris Mathis, he started from the pole. So, I mean, that's even bragging rights for him. Started first, finished first. So, I mean, just I can't wait to see what the rest of these guys have in store for us for the rest of the season.
Yeah, these guys truly were a superior class to behold. They were just doing everything they can to get it done. A little bit of a dirty way to start it, just because of the amount of caution that we had. But these last 15 laps were just something to watch. From ill-handling race cars to incredible saves to keep them from any more caution coming out. Because we went, think about this, from stage 2 all the way to the finish. The only caution we had from then on was the stage caution. Ever since then, it was green flag the rest of the way, which just shows how once they get into that rhythm, it's nothing else to stop them. As now the 18 is going to burn it down. Hopefully he's going to go right over the bricks. I was hoping he wasn't going to do that, but regardless, he's going to celebrate his first win in style here in Indianapolis.
And it's well deserved for Chris Mathis, who had a great couple of races those first 2 times out, but of course Daytona, anything can happen. Atlanta last week beat in what was truly a classic at Atlanta Motor Speedway, rather, where, man, it was one of those classic Atlanta finishes like we've been saying since it happened last week. It came down to the final half mile 1 week ago, and it was just... It was perfect in terms of Atlanta racing. Those two side by side, David Bradford and Chris Mathis, and Bradford just barely got him. And keep in mind, those two have been working together since Daytona. They are quote unquote teammates, if you will. They're friends, anyways, and they've been working together these last couple of races. And to have the issue they had a little while ago, I wonder how that one's going to go between those two moving forward. I'd imagine they'll still be friends, but I can't imagine David Bradford was happy about the way that went. Regardless, Chris Mathis hangs on, and I think a well-deserved victory. Like I'm trying to get at. 3 really good races. Finally wraps this one up the way he deserves with a big W. We'll be talking to him and the rest of the top 3 here shortly. Do not go anywhere. Do not click to another YouTube video. Do not click to another, Facebook video, whatever. Stay right here. We'll be talking to the top 3 very, very shortly. This is PitStop TV, continuing coverage of the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series from Atlanta Motor Speedway, or Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I keep getting the two confused.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
We welcome you back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I can confirm this is not Atlanta, Georgia, and we just witnessed 200 miles of amazing racing. It was a rocky start here at Indy, but the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series gets it done, and Chris Mathis gets it done with a big W, definitely very deserving, and not necessarily long overdue, but a little bit overdue. I think he should have had one by now, and he finally gets that first win of the season. A big, momentous win for Chris Mathis for sure. You can see all of our crew down there in the bottom right, and we'll be thanking everybody who not only puts it on for us, Andrew Cardinale IV, Trey Patton, Noah Carmichael, Trey Shuttlesworth, and Emerson Arden, but also everybody who helps us out supporting us here at PitStop TV, Tucson Sound Art, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, and Whiplash Media. Your picture, your music, though, for Tucson Sound Art. I've got a device up on my wall right now. I was listening to Metallica all day, actually, on it. And, man, it's super convenient to just have that up on my wall, just connect my iPad to it, let it go for a while, and the battery lasts for a while. I was actually really surprised as to how long the battery lasted in my Tucson Sound Art device. I can vouch for this thing. This is a great product. It's basically just taking any canvas, any picture you want, putting it on a canvas, wrapping it around a nice little box that goes right up on your wall. I guess a box is a weird way to put it, but a frame that has the Bluetooth speaker, that's what I'm looking for, inside of it, and it just goes right up your wall, on your wall. It's real easy to mount, it's real easy to deal with, and not only is it really easy to deal with, looks great on your wall, but you can get 10% off, so a little bit cheaper, if you order using promo code PitStopTV at checkout at TucsonSoundArt.com. You should definitely check them out. Definitely order yours today, again, with promo code PitStopTV. You can also go to Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine on their Facebook page, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. You can check them out at permanentmakeupinmaine.com. Call or text them at 207-358-8683 to get your personal consultation about your permanent makeup needs, because when it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. Ashley Bollier, Evan Bollier, and their employees in Auburn, Lewiston, and I believe it's, I think Harrison, Maine, will take care of you. They've got 3 convenient locations now through the state of Maine, and they are a rising business up in the Northeast. You should definitely check them out, again, if you are in that market. Also, check out Whiplash Media, PitStop TV's new parent organization that specializes in various sim racing resources, including paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing, camera packs, and more. Whiplash Media is also working on its presence in real racing, offering services such as photography, social media management, and public relations. Go to whiplash-media.com for more information, and Whiplash Media fielded an endurance team, as per usual, this past weekend in the iRacing running of Petit Le Mans, running 2 different cars. I think the first one got wrecked out kind of early, unfortunately, some terminal damage, but the second one went on to finish, I want to say, around 16th, 17th position after 10 hours in a field full of LMP2 cars and having been almost into the top 5 there before some issues for their race. That's pretty impressive for them. Just want to shout out Trevor Anderson and Michael Della Sala in that car, as well as Anton Bursbo and Tyler Langenberg in the other car. With that said, though, Trey Patton and Noah Carmichael, we've got a few drivers to talk to, and we'll just start off with our race winner, Chris Mathis. And Chris, we talked to you at that first stage break when you won stage number 1, but talking to you at the end of a race after you've finally gotten that first win on the season, I think is a whole lot better.
Yeah, it is. I hate it came down like that, and me getting into David in turn 1. I don't want to race nobody like that, so it's kind of bittersweet on that end.
Yeah, of course, we saw it, and we wondered how you guys might take that one. Of course, we came across the fact that last week, I guess you guys were working together, and Daytona, you were working together, so I think that will ease the blow a little bit. But what did happen right there? What happened to turn 1 when you guys got together?
Well, David had a run on the outside. We got down to 1 and 2, and I looked at it, and I came up into him, obviously. I mean, he could have went outside a little bit. It's just a racing deal at that point, but he had the faster car. He was going to pass me again, and I just hate that happened because he was definitely going to win.
Well, in the end, the 18 still gets the win tonight, and I feel like after last week it was almost deserved for you to get it, but Bradford got you there in the last few laps. Getting it this week, maybe a consolation for Atlanta?
Small consolation. I mean, that's what makes it so bad is how last week happened and then this happens this week. I mean, I'm glad I got the win, but I hate it was him, and I hate it went down like that.
Well, not only do you get this race win, even if it's not how you want to get it, you lead 65 of 80 laps doing so. That's some Martin Truex Jr. Coke 600 kind of stuff right there. That is a lot of this race that you led this evening. Only 15 laps went to other drivers. How do you feel going into Vegas next week? I know a completely different racetrack from anything we've had so far. Even Atlanta, the other 1.5 that we've raced at. But I guess there have to be some kind of parallels you can draw.
Man, Vegas is its own beast in itself. You know, it's got the bumps in 1 and 2, and you got to kind of miss them. But I mean, it's like super speedway racing on a mile and a half.
And so, having run at Daytona, then how do you translate anything you learned from Daytona, anything you learned in your midweek racing between races here in the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series? How do you take anything you get from that and translate it into trying to go back-to-back at Las Vegas next week?
It's kind of hard to take anything besides drafting at Talladega or Daytona. I mean, but it's still different. You know, Daytona, you're actually wide open. Vegas, you know, your tires are going to wear out and you'll slow down. But for the most part, it's going to be bumper to bumper, 2-3 wide if people want to make it like that. It's going to be a fun race.
Well, I guess the good news is we just had a week of official racing at Talladega to get you used to drafting, but the draft was also a big thing here this evening. How were you trying to fight off moves that people were making? Most notably, I think, David Bradford, Mark Truxell, and so on and so forth as they were trying to get on by you there at the end.
I mean, Mark had a big run, and when he passed me there, if I'd have tried to block him, I would have just wrecked myself. And same thing with David. David was creeping up, and I knew he was faster. That's why when he was coming, I would just get low, make him take the longer way around with the worn out tires. Maybe I'd have a chance, but you know, so I mean, I wound up pushing into him and ruining his day.
Well, your day stays intact again, leading 65 of 80 laps this evening. Chris, congratulations on a big race win. You didn't lead practice, I don't think. You might have, actually. I forget. No, it was Hayes Booth. My bad. Anyways, you qualify first, so you lead qualifying. You lead almost every lap here, and you win at Indianapolis. It's still a good day overall. Who do you have to thank? Who do you have to shout out for your big win here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
Oh, man, David and Bobby and Will, everybody, you guys put the show on. Everybody who's in the league, I mean, this is a real good group of guys. We had a couple of hiccups at the start. We got it rolling, and another good finish for you guys.
It was definitely a great finish. We now have 3 great finishes here from the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series, mostly, well, yeah, now 2/3 involving you, Chris Mathis. Congratulations once again. I'm sure we'll be talking to you next week at Vegas.
Thanks, man.
So Chris Mathis, I think, definitely not in the greatest moods just because he got into his buddy David Bradford there. But hey, a race win, rather, is a race win, and that's what matters at the end of the day. He gets it done at Indianapolis, and we'll turn it over to Trey Patton with second-place finisher Bobby Hamilton Jr.
Hey, Bobby, this is Trey in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, man.
So you started third, finished second. We saw you slipping and sliding all over the place earlier in stage 1. You know, you opted to stay out. Was that a part of a strategy play? So just in case something happened earlier on, you'd have an extra set of tires?
That was me being stupid. I wasn't paying attention, and I'm going to be honest with you. I got a new button box, and I was over and trying to fool with stuff because I couldn't remember what they were. And looked in the mirror, and I already passed the cone, and they were in the pits. And I was like, well, I'm committed now. So, but I paid for that mistake all night long because it was track position, racetrack tonight. By the time you got up there to pass people, you don't burn all your stuff up. And for some reason, the tires would go away about 7 laps into it. Man, you were hanging on for life.
Yeah, Chris was saying that the track or the tires were were, it went out earlier in the run, and the car itself was just really, really loose, up until the tire went away, and then it got really tight. So, from somebody that's actually ran the track, in person, obviously it's a little bit of a different car. So how much do you translate your real life experience into the sim?
The biggest problem that you face with the sim compared to real life is when the cars are that way, loose or tight. In real life, your butt is in the seat and you can feel the chassis roll or whatever. In the sim, you're just watching out of your eyes, so you're always a second or two behind whatever the car is doing. So, but overall, like once the tires got old, I was able to do different things like we used to in those heavier cars, like in the cup cars and stuff. We would kind of trail brake a little bit, getting in the corner just to set in it, and it was like you just ride both of them, and it would just set the nose and turn the nose, and you could go. And I showed my hand too quick. I got a run and went 3 wide trying to get the lead, and I completely burnt my stuff up trying to get to that run. And when I was out front, I was so loose, and it was just like I said, that one mistake. I'm gonna blame tonight on that one mistake that I wasn't paying attention, staying out, and lost all that track position.
Well, nonetheless, after that mistake, you found yourself up, into the lead at one point, and you brought it home in P2. So I'd say overall, that's still a pretty good night.
You know what? And you got to be lucky. I'd rather be lucky than good any day. I know him. I know the 18 and the 46 got into it. David's a threat every week, every track, no matter what goes on. So when they got together, I was thinking, because I knew I could outrun Will. I was just waiting for, and sure enough, those two got together, and I was thinking, all right, good. That banged his fender. He should be tight now, because I seen David go to the wayside. But he never did. He just stayed out front and was still hard to pass. And then it was, we had to deal with the 5 and try to get away from the 56. And clean air was king. We seen that. And second on back was having to, if you made a slip, guy behind you could make up a 10.5 on you. So, hey, it's Indy. We knew that coming in here. And I'm to be honest with you, I'd have took a top 10 with all my fenders on and took the points and ran. So give me a top 5 and I'll take it.
Yeah, always having a top 5, even a top 10, but definitely sitting on the podium is definitely a good night. So what can we expect from you going, with this, trying to think of the word there, the momentum, there we go. Momentum of tonight, of a P2 finish going into Vegas next week. I know it's a completely different track, take in from what you did at Atlanta. Obviously, Atlanta is different from Vegas, but, it's back to a 1.5 mile track. So what can we expect to see there?
Well, I think you'll see the normal guys running up front, but it's also, too, it's a heavy drafting play. So I think with this aero package that they have with the cars and with the motor package they have with the cars, it's going to make a lot of things even. So it's going to be a drafting deal. It's going to be a drafting session, and it's definitely going to be a chess game to put yourself in position at the end of those tire runs, because even though you're on the throttle heavy all day long, the tires do go away, and you have to kind of adjust your throttle a little bit to still make speed through the center and off the corner. So I think it's going to be a miniature Talladega for the first part of the run. Then after that, that's when you'll see the really, really fast guys kind of creep away from the slower guys and stuff like that. But I still think it's going to be the same way. Clean air is going to be king. So like I said before, you just got to, put your stuff in that position to be able to strike if any of those guys slip.
Absolutely. I expect nonetheless from what we've seen from you guys yet, you guys have put on an absolute show. It's been a blast covering you guys, but before I let you go, I'll let you shout out a few people. Who makes it happen for you, man?
Waffle House, Zero Candy Bar Whoppers, those guys, and Red Dot Storage. Those guys keep this league going. Long lifetime friends with those guys, and they really support this league. And you guys are incredible. Our sponsors love the way y'all work, the way y'all do your interviews, the camera work. Y'all are a top-notch program. So I'm just fortunate to have people behind me that believe in me to keep my league going, but also too fortunate enough to help pay the bills, to keep people like professional guys like you guys. So, and also my SCAR guys. Those guys, they race hard. It's a real tight group. We all cut up all during the week. Discord, just an awesome group. So just an awesome clan, and just happy to have the people around me to make this thing good.
Well, we appreciate the kind words, and we appreciate you guys coming to us to cover the league. And, as I said, it's been an absolute blast. We're just getting started, and looking forward to keep doing that, and hopefully we'll be talking to you more.
Oh yeah, well that's the whole key, and we are looking forward to it. So thank you guys for an awesome job again tonight. I'll watch this as soon as we're over here. Watch the program and see if we got any little TV time. And just incredible job of you guys, and we'll thank all my guys, and Scar guys. So have a good night.
All right, thank you as well. That is our second place finisher, Bobby Hamilton Jr. And then we're going to hand it over to Noah Carmichael with our third place finisher, Will Jones.
Will Jones, Noah Carmichael in the booth. You like copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, you had a pretty interesting night, starting from what seemed to be a little bit of a hardware issue during practice to ending up running up there in the top 5 all race. Trying to take us through how your night went for you.
Yeah, I had a little pit road incident there. Missed my box again, just like last week, and had to work my way up from the back again. But yeah, it was pretty good. The car was real tight. It was hard to pass. You kind of got single file and everything got sorted out. You couldn't really do anything with the leader, but it was real hard to pass. But we had a good car tonight and a good race. So hopefully, maybe next week I can improve 2 spots.
Well, you stuck back there running about the top 5, which isn't really a bad thing to say running in the top 5. You're so close yet so far away. Kind of take us what it was like trying to fight off the likes of Truxell, Hamilton Jr., and Mathis throughout the entire 80 laps of this race.
Yeah, really. Basically, the only times I really lost spots is when I tried to make a pass, and then it slowed my momentum so much that the guy behind me could get a run, and I didn't want to wipe anybody out or go in there and put the bump on somebody to move them out the way. But like I say, man, it was just tough to pass. And then if you did try to make a move and it didn't work, then most time you lost a spot. So I mean, it was just one of them things. We finished third. I mean, I'll take it. I want to win, but I'll take a third.
And with the third place finish, you move on with the momentum, hopefully, into Las Vegas. You're a little bit of a part-time runner. Do you plan on running Vegas, or how many more races do you plan on doing throughout the rest of the season?
It just depends. I should be able to make Vegas, which I don't know. I got to work. I'm on call this coming Sunday, so I don't know if I'll make it or not. But if I can, I will. But I plan on it, so we'll see.
Well, hopefully we will. And before I let you go here to enjoy the rest of your night, who do you have to thank here for your strong third place run here tonight?
Thank all the guys in the league, man. We got a bunch of good guys running up front there with Chris and David and Bobby Jr. And I mean, all those guys are clean, man. Mark Truxell. I mean, they race hard, but they race clean. Just a good group of guys to race with. It's fun. I mean, you really ain't got to worry about nobody taking you out, and everybody treats one another with respect. It's a good league, and thank y'all for broadcasting. Y'all do a heck of a job. But and like I say, thanks to Bobby and David for putting on the league, and that's it.
All right. Well, hopefully we get to see you next week to get to talk to you some more. Congratulations on your third place finish tonight, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Yep, we'll do the same. Take care.
All right. Well, that'll be it for our interviews here tonight. Hand it back over to Andrew to close us out here for the final thoughts of tonight's race.
Yeah, it was certainly an interesting one, and great battles through and through, even with those early yellows and the 1 or 2 laps between those cautions. These guys raced it out. It was always just fun to watch these guys go at it, and while it wasn't always super close because they did get some separation through those long green runs, they were always battling somewhere on the racetrack, and it just kept things exciting for us and hopefully for everybody watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter as well. Of course, you can follow along with our mid-race updates on Facebook and Twitter as well, and you can see who finishes where before we tell you right now. Chris Mathis wins Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and it's Bobby Hamilton Jr. finishing second place, Will Jones third. We talked to each of those guys just a few moments ago. Mark Truxell finishes fourth place, and Trey Patton Hayes Booth recovers to fifth.
Yes, Scott Warren runs up in 6th. Colt Ainsley, our Daytona winner, finishes 7th. Thomas McMullen in 8th. Will Hewitt, after being up front a little bit of the race, winds up 9th. And Alan DeFries Didn't really see much of him tonight. Ends up finishing 10th.
All right, and then finishing back in the 11th position is going to be the 40 of Jeff Napier. Rounding out in 12th is David Bradford, who ended up going to the box after that incident with Chris Mathis. He rounds out in the 12th place. Cody Harger in the 66 is going to round out 13th. Mickey Spear in the 23 will round out 14th, and rounding out your top 15. And number 27 is Fred Starwich, who sadly had to retire after that mid-race engine failure.
And 16th position will go to, we'll get it back up on there for you. We'll go to the 015 of Vincent Short. We saw him involved with that in that incident with Nick Hurd early on. Very unfortunate there for Vincent Short. In fact, he was involved in the incident with Jeff Napier as well, in the number 40, who, as was covered, recovers to 11th position. Nick Hurd finishes 17th. Tommy D'Angelo only gets 18th spot, finishing as many laps down as Chris Mathis led this evening. Justin Napier 19th after connection issues or what have you, only gets 6 laps logged, and Terry McFarland never makes it onto the racetrack, officially takes 20th position this evening. Guys, again, what a great race, and very glad to have you guys alongside me, of course, and to have Trey Shellsworth helping with social media, Emerson Arden on the second camera that you guys saw on the bottom right of the screen. But what do you think is the outlook now, looking forward to a place like Las Vegas Motor Speedway?
You know, the guys mentioned, Bobby said it and Chris said it as well. It's going to be really draft heavy. With the current package of the Cup car, it's a lot of just the low downforce package, horsepower and everything. So they're really on the throttle a lot, for the first part of the run. And then as you mentioned, as they mentioned, rather, the tires are going to give out a little bit. And then that's really where you're going to see where it separates the fast guys from the faster guys to the guys that are just, kind of just going along for the ride. But I expect nonetheless from anything, it's going to be a good race, and hopefully we can see some new faces up there.
Yeah, Las Vegas is one of those very entertaining tracks for the Cup cars. Well, it's harder to pass here in Indianapolis. It's really easy to pass to Las Vegas just because of the nature of the high bankings that track gives off. It's the driver favorite. I was lucky enough to do some C-Class racing in the trucks there, and it's mostly just a flat-out fest. If you got on the inside on the exit, you really had it set up for 3 and 4, so should be a very entertaining race to watch for those guys, and I bet they're looking forward to it as well.
Once again, you see our partner logos on screen: Tucson Sound Art, Permanent Makeup in Cryo in Maine, and Whiplash Media. We thank them for all of their support. We also want to thank league partners Waffle House, First Horizon Bank, Whoppers, Zero Bar Candy Bar, and Dr. Pepper and 7-Up for their support of the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series. That will conclude our coverage tonight of the Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We at PitStop TV thank you for tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Be sure to join us again for 3 nights of action this week, including the Northwest GT3 Challenge round number 3 at Okayama Circuit in Japan. Then the Operation E Motorsport iRacing League kicks off a double header, 2 days back-to-back at the Charlotte Roval, where those Miatas will take on the 2018 version, that very fast backstretch chicane, followed up by the Bluegrass iRacing Series taking on the current version of the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. And then next week, 1 week from tonight, we have a 3rd week in a row of Superior Class Auto Racing Cup Series action coming to you from Las Vegas Motor Speedway for 200 miles in Sin City. Make sure to follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/PitStopTV, on Twitter at PitStopTV_, on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/Pit_Stop_TV, and on YouTube at www.youtube.com/C/PitStopTV1. For everyone at PitStop TV, I've got Trey Patton and Noah Carmichael alongside me on the mic, Trey Shellsworth on social media, and Emerson Arden behind the scenes. I am Andrew Cardinale IV, and we will see you next time.